Alright, BobalosRex here, and you may already know what this is about. I'm reacting to a bunch of the housing videos that got released today. So, normally we get these big housing video releases. I don't know if we're still getting that this month, but Blizzard seemed to have invited creators to play housing. So today we're looking at I'm looking at a Taliesin video, Taliesin and Evitel video. I'm going to react to that. That's first. A SoulSoBreezy video, a Dratnos video, and a Preach video. I'm going to react to them all. I'm going to link to them all in the descriptions. This is going to be epical reacts, so any ads they do, I'm going to sit through the ad. Okay? But I'm going to be starting, stopping, and just reacting to the stuff. Because I didn't get to play, but I want y'all to see my first reaction to all this housing news. And I'm excited that they got to play it. I'm excited for who got to play it. Maybe one day, I'll be the one getting to play early. But hopefully the PTR will be up, and I'll be able to test it myself. But let's take a look and see what everyone's got to say. Again, links to all these videos in the descriptions. Check them out. You know, this one's going to be long because I'm reacting to them all, so it'd be better to watch their videos if you want to watch them. But this is for people who want my opinion. So let's get to it. That was way too loud.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking player housing.
Whoa! Whoa! So he got this footage. This is all footage he got playing it. Holy moly.
Hello Internet.
Holy moly, look at the Zandalari customization.
Taliesin here, and today we are talking player
my God.
Inside and the outside.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
Talking about how it feels.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
Play it because Internet.
Ow, that looks so good. So that's the zone. Okay, you see the duskwood. You see the duskwood over there. Okay, we're in the. Maybe we're on the duskwood side. Look at these trees. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I have played it.
Stop bragging. Oh my God.
Myself and a handful of other creators were invited to Blizzard's office in...
Oh my God, y'all lucky. Oh my God. I mean, they work hard for it, but ooh. Oh my goodness.
Boston. We were invited
That feels so fun.
Jesse Kolenchek.
Okay, it was during the 30th. It was during the... I knew something was happening.
Producer Rachel Basone take
so
part in a big round table discussion.
Oh, there's the Westfall side. Oh my God, that looks good. Or maybe this is the Elwine side, and that's the Westfall side. This feels Westfall-y.
Discussion and also get our
maybe that's it.
On the feature itself.
Just the view.
So I've played with housing for a good 4 or
this
5
looks so
hours.
good.
I've made this app
4 to 5 hours. Imagine that.
Absolute masterpiece.
Yo, let's judge. Yo, Taliesin, let me judge.
4 or 5
your
hours.
house.
I've made this.
This is what you made. I'm gonna be real. Awesome. I like what he's doing with the book here. He's trying to make it feels like he's going for making the book the banner, so that it looks like it's not a book, but it's the banner sign. That looking good. This looks good. This, how you set this up, I don't know what this is called, but this looks great. You know, you got the urns. Oh my God. Yeah, you did great. 10 out of 10. This is like your... You know what? I don't want to know what this carpet's for. You know, that's for your reading, you know, laying about, you know, having your fun time, you know, with the curtains, you know. Good for y'all. Good for you. All right, that's a good house.
Masterpiece. I've talked to the devs, and I'm going to tell you and Evitel all about it now.
She didn't get to play!
There, look at this amazing new footage, and genuinely just...
Oh.
Have a very exciting, very revealing time. So join us.
Look at the house.
Lift the lid on WoW.
Okay, so those are prefurbished, maybe.
Go, 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 go.
'Cause he would have
Okay,
said, I
guys, so
made
I'm
this.
hugely jealous.
Good.
Mission accomplished.
Okay, so this is how he's
Before we
doing
get
it?
into the
Okay, this is
nitty-gritty,
good.
I need to know, what is player housing
Okay,
like?
this is cool.
Is it everything we have wanted it to be?
I can say right now, okay, that player housing is the biggest, most important, best feature that WoW has maybe like ever had, like since Raids
Yo.
or Mythic Plus or something like that.
Huge.
This is a
Huge.
complete game changer. It
Huge.
actually is incredible.
It's such a
Like,
game changer. People like me, before this was announced, or actually, there was a turning point. People like me thought it was never going to be a thing.
Mine was absolutely
at a
wrong.
certain
When
point.
you're given like access to this, special
And now here it
thing,
is.
My first reaction is to try and break it, right?
But people kept
I
asking,
turned around
people kept
immediately
saying-
and walked out the front door to see if I could
And
see
here
from
we are.
outside, stuff like that. I was going through trying to find secret.
You know, that's why I say ask for what you want. Don't try to rain on other people's parades, because anyone's saying no housing, no housing, no housing. Look at where I got you.
Bits of the UI that
You know, every
gave
time I
things away,
said,
which I
oh, they'll never do housing because we got garrisons, it's unlikely. I think I've always prefaced it with it unlikely, but yo, anyone who said never, that's why they say never.
did, by the way. You'll see. at
But
the
you
end
say
of the
never
video, I'm
there,
very much
so-
like a YouTuber. I want to find secret stuff that I'm not supposed to find.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I have
Good.
to say, within just a few minutes, I was completely caught up in
Look at all that
making
goblin,
this interior
high
and
mountain.
this room, and actually being
They're
in it,
grabbing
it's
stuff
so
from everybody.
detailed, and it's so vast. It can be incredibly simple if you want it to. It can be incredibly detailed if you want it to. The possibilities, this sounds so cliche, but it's true, are endless. I guess the best
That's so
thing I can
good.
possibly say is, if you have always wanted player housing in WoW, I don't honestly see any way that this system that I've played doesn't meet your expectations.
That's awesome
And this
for
is even
them.
from just an early build.
Yeah,
right?
because it just it
I can't
hits
wait to
every
see-
single box.
What
I can't wait to see Soul's video. I feel like this is going to be really good. I've only had housing in a few single player games. I haven't had it in an MMO, you know, and I do like home building. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait.
What was it like? What was the setup like? What were you allowed to do?
Well, we were placed in a kind of a half-made house. Some of the rooms were decorated to kind of get us started, but then loads of the rooms off of that main room weren't, and we had free reign just to go in there and do whatever we wanted. So we were able to kind of explore the menus and play
That's
with
cool.
placing things. All the shots we've seen of player housing so far have been
So just a few of
like
the
this
house
quite
stuff.
rustic, horde
So just the
or
house stuff.
alliance-y kind of look. So the first thing I did was I wanted to change all of that. You can see
Because that's the
on
thing. I have multiple questions when it comes to warbands, account, that, collection, all that. Looks like they got to play around in the house, so that's good. So this is going to be a lot of inside house stuff.
these pictures
It
here.
looks like.
You've got like the wooden
Sounds
floor.
like.
That's like the standard wooden floor that you start with, and the kind of like the very rustic beams. It looks very alliance-y, doesn't it? It looks kind
I
of.
love how
like
Yeah.
he's able to talk
screen
all
now.
about it.
Well, it's super easy to change all that. You just click on the floor, and then you go to styles,
Okay.
and you've got like folk, which is the alliance one. You've got kind of rustic, which is the horde one. But then you've got a night elf one. You've got a blood elf one. So I was like, yeah, I'm clicking on blood elf straight away, and it instantly changed.
I
as
wonder
you
if
see
she's
my
over
own
there. That's why
to,
he
like,
keeps
these
looking.
smooth white,
The blood elf one.
blood elfy kind of stone
That's good.
tiles. And I did the same on the walls. I clicked on the wall bits and I changed those to blood elf. You could do it on the ceiling.
That's
The
great.
staircase that I had, that I built my little nook underneath. Instantly,
that's
you're
all blood
able
elf.
to change the entire style of the inside into whatever racial style you want or like aesthetic you want.
That's really cool. That was one of the questions I had after seeing some of our.
I wonder how many
Citizens'
he's starting
original,
with.
images and.
I mean,
footage
we'll know
because,
when he-
yeah, like
when
you
he
say,
can
a lot
really
of them
test
look like
it.
taverns. Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of a wood look and feel, but I'm
That's
like, hey,
so
what if I
good.
want like a straight up cohesive night elf style
Like, how-
from
they're
top
gonna
to
have
bottom?
We can do that for you. It's all
If we're
there.
starting
And that's
with so
before we
much.
get into the decor on the inside.
And they're still
These are,
saying
like,
there's
the
gonna
very
be more to
building
add.
blocks that you're making the room out of. And
Amazing.
then in the actual decor,
So many
menus themselves,
crafting
which I'll get into
materials
in a
are gonna
minute,
be
but
needed.
Yeah, you can search. I literally just
Oh
put
my
silver
God.
moon and got loads of blood elf things that I would fit naturally into my blood elf room. But you're not limited to any of that, obviously.
Okay,
Farming all that.
amazing.
And I
Farming
saw
all those
interior
books.
pieces that were themed around Dratnos stuff, Tauren stuff. stuff, Zandalari troll stuff, night elf stuff, goblin stuff, human stuff, orc stuff.
That is really exciting to hear.
So the first thing I did was switch everything to blood elf, but then the second thing I did was I found floor panels, floor kind of like platforms, which you can put anywhere. So we've got a great image here.
that's
You
what
can
he
see
did.
that
The
kind of
thing.
stepped roof.
Yeah.
Above the bookcases in this demo. Well, those are made from individual beams that have been placed in a kind of a step. So the roof to that room.
So you got to really get
is
into
just
it.
like level and square, and the designer has just like put in individual beams to make it into a stepped roof. And I took a bunch of these and I
That's
stuck
so
them to the wall because I just wanted to check, and I just made a jumping puzzle all around the room. Some were attached to the wall,
evil.
some were just floating in space. I just want to see if
You
I
didn't
can
wanna
jump around
you
here
should've showed us
and like
that.
make a little platformer sort of thing. And I learned two things. I learned that yes, you can do that.
Nice.
And I learned that I'm terrible at jumping in World of Warcraft. And
Who
I found,
isn't?
the
Was he
incredible
only
guy
able to
thing is
get the
incredibly frustrating
picture?
experience. I quickly moved on from that. But you can.
So in terms of the edit build mode and your character actually being in the house, is there kind of like a seamless transition, or is your character always in there, or do you kind of like pan out and then
Oh no,
build
you're
and
you're
zoom
in
back
there kind of walking around the house
The whole time?
and placing
Oh,
things.
okay.
Your character has to place things physically in the room?
Not as in I have it in my hand and I have to walk over here and put it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
this is
character
footage
in
we have
the
already
room
seen.
Yeah.
at all times, which is really good for
There is
scenes
some new
stuff like that.
footage that
Yeah.
we're
No,
getting now.
when you select something from a menu, you are
I'm curious if the footage he's showing is now his or not, if it's just footage they gave him. Like, because this is pre-footage.
moving it within the 3D.
Like
And
footage
then
we've
yeah,
seen.
okay.
To the detail of placing.
Because the
individual
picture we
goblets
saw
and
was
books
his, so that's
on
good.
bookcases, exactly where I wanted
I'm glad
them
he
to
got to
be.
show us that, but I'm
And,
wondering
you know,
how much
you
he
have
got.
the option of having everything kind of snap in to a grid in basic mode, which particularly for putting things on shelves makes it really easy, and you can just kind of pop them in there. And these books aren't all individual. Some books are individual, which you can slot in there. But
Here,
then
I'm
some
basically,
decorations
I'm bad.
are
I'm
like
covering
rows
up
of
Evan's
books
home.
Of
I'm
course.
kind of
bad.
pre-made, which you can
I'll
slot
have to
in there as well.
readjust.
So anything can go anywhere,
Yeah.
and it can be as big or small as you like it within
Well, no,
reason.
within like very very generous perimeters.
Okay.
So like you can make a chair kind of proportionately, you know, about this size. right?
How
Oh,
big
right.
can my biggest chair be?
Pretty big, like you can get literally lost in it, right? Now at the moment,
That's
the
cool.
chairs lose functionality when you try and sit in them if you change the scale, okay? But you
okay.
can shrink them down and blow them up, and that
Okay.
goes for anything. The rooms themselves come in a bunch of different shapes and different sizes as well, but
Okay.
also different levels, because of course you can go upstairs
Yeah.
and have an upstairs. I think you
That's
can
what's
have
cool.
like up to 3 levels at the moment. There are pre-built staircases which are part of some of the rooms that you can pre-select, but of course you can build staircases out of basically anything as well.
So
Okay.
there's this incredible setup here with your like library tower, right? Complete with cobwebs
good.
and these multiple levels.
This room is built from one of the block.
I hope they have pre-built. I hope Blizzard has pre-built stuff for some people to
Patterns.
just
This
use.
is built from the same block room that my room, my Blood Elf room that we're looking at, is also built from.
It's nice that you have those pre-selected options, because I can imagine, you know, my fear of going into player housing is like you get your little square room and then you put a bed and a bookcase and a nightstand in it. And you're like, what else do I do? But them giving you these kind of pre-made options that you can then tinker with and play with, that
Yeah, that's
opens
good.
up like so much more creativity, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
That's
when you
super
had a
good.
look in the interface at all of the things you could choose there, like filtering them by style, using keywords from the metadata.
Everything was kind of separated out into, there was like literal building stuff,
Dude,
which is your
how much is that gonna
platforms
cost,
and
or
your
how long
columns
is
and
that
things
gonna
like
take
that.
to farm
And then you
that
had
amount of
lighting.
mats?
Each category has like subcategories. So you went into lighting, and you had lamps, you had wall hangings, you had sconces. I mean, you can see some of the different options in this picture here. You can see the hanging chandelier type things coming down.
That
You
looks
can
so
see, like,
good.
the
I like-
lanterns,
I
on-
may be
on the
using pre-builts
staircase,
early on, and then
Zandalari
be
troll
going-
lantern there as well. Kind of
The dance mode.
candelabras.
Open
And different
fires.
candles. Every bit of furniture that you have, it has multiple uses. It has its intended use, and then it has all the different things you can do as well. So, for
Yeah,
example,
ideas.
Jay was showing us, he did like a live room build as a little example for us. And he was like, what should we
That's
do?
cool.
Let's make a restaurant. And so he literally made like a diner, like a Pandaren diner. He got out all these Pandaren tables. He put these candelabras on them like that. So,
That's
they,
so
they didn't look
cool.
freestanding anymore. And then he made like a whole oven. And what he did was he used like a kind of a fireplace grating. And he put that down like a kitchen cabinet sort of thing. And then he got, it was like a crate with an iron top on it. And he like clipped that through the table.
That's what I'm talking about,
Only
the
the top of the
clipping.
crate was showing through the top of the table, which made the stove top. And then he took a bunch of barrels which had like round tops
Amazing.
and shrunk them down and clipped them through the top of the stove top as hobs. And it was
Oh
just
my
incredible. It was just
goodness.
amazing. And you
Yeah,
can
that's what I'm
create
saying, advanced
basically
mode with the
anything
clipping.
you want to. I looked across at the guy who was designing his room next to me as I was making this beautiful silver moon.
Who was
kind
the
of
guy?
room nook.
Nice.
And he just had a Nixie, you know, a Nixia's head.
Yeah.
He just had that on a spit. He got like a fire, an open fire. He put that down. He found like some steel frame thing and he put that on. And then he just put a Nixia's head on it. And he
That's
just had
cool.
a Nixia's head on a spit.
Incredible.
There was
A
someone in
Nixia.
our group
Ah,
who
Nixia.
had made like
So-
a wrestling ring in the room, and they put out like audience seats and stuff as well.
Brilliant.
And they made this wrestling ring. It wasn't conceptual. It was
No.
like,
Dude,
it's
a
obviously
wrestling ring.
So
Oh
you see
my
all these
god.
really nice animated features,
I
like
just
in
wanna
the
see so
lighting,
many
like
more.
lanterns are flickering,
They
the
look so
cobwebs are
good.
like wafting in the wind.
If that's
and there's
pre-built,
this
that's
amazing
so-
kind of like
that's-
flying book feature in the middle of this room as well, which I love. Were there some really cool like animated ones there that you got to see?
Yes, so there was lots
The
of animation on
Goblin
the
Sun.
lights, although not all of them had been enabled to animate. Not all of them had been enabled to actually illuminate.
Dude,
Okay.
But they
look
did
at all the
illuminate. Yeah, I think
decorations.
most of the lights,
Here's the thing, and some people are gonna do this, and it's good. They're gonna go through every single frame and be like, okay, that's an object. Wowhead, start compiling a list of every object you see in these frames that are like, okay, this is one. What books? Which ones are individual? Is that one, or is that a set? Is this that? Which where? So see that there, that there. Okay, maybe this whole block is a setup. We'll have to
are
see,
going to be
man.
interactive, so you can click on them to turn them
Look
on.
at all of them. There's some Dratnos stuff. Zandalari. I love that we're getting Zandalari.
On and off as
yes.
well.
Off the
I know
jump.
you can definitely do that with the candles too, and the fireplaces and things like that. There
at
are
that.
loads of items which have inbuilt interactivity in them as well.
That was
So
going to be my next question.
there's items that we found in the catalog, stuff like a guillotine.
No.
It's called the Gilnean Problem Solver.
No.
Yo!
It's a guillotine, and obviously you can interact with it and goes vroom, like that. Okay, it's absolutely
Dude,
amazing.
where's the list?
There are.
Do you think that's going to make it to the final build?
It has to
1,000,000%.
be.
Yeah, why would you
It
go
has
through
to
all
be.
that problem of
Oh
making
my
it if you
god,
didn't?
please.
There's a literal
please.
dark iron mole machine.
Yes.
There was this amazing bookcase, and one of the devs came up to me and was like, "Hey, you know that's interactive?" And I was like, "Ooh!" So I came out of the menu and I clicked.
It
on
opens
and
up?
It, like opened up, and it was a secret door.
Yes!
There's like goblin,
Oh my god.
Bellagio
Oh
kind
my
of
god, oh my god, oh
machines.
my god, oh my god, oh my
Click
god, oh
on,
my
they
god.
start spinning round and things like that. In fact, there is a whole like interactive section in the menu.
Secret door.
Okay, yeah.
Where you can
Secret
specify
doors.
and
Oh my
find
god,
those
secret
things.
bookcases,
And
secret
something which
doors.
is really
Oh my
interesting, which
god.
I ask about in my interview. Most of the books are just like books. They're items, right?
Yeah.
They just are for
The
decoration.
interviews.
One of them I noticed was interactive, and when I placed it, I could click on it, and it was the Story of the World Tree from Belameth, that book that we found in Belameth. Do you
course,
remember?
yes.
Which we've done
Oh.
literal lore videos about. Okay, but it was that, and so you just clicked on it.
You
and
can
it
get
opened
those
up your reading
books?
pane,
Yeah.
just like if you.
Oh my
clicked
god,
on
I'm making a
Belameth, and
library.
you could read that book.
Oh my god, I'm making a
And
giant
you know,
library.
you can place that book in your bookcase.
In your library.
In your library.
Oh my
So
god.
So you're gonna have to watch my interview where I asked Jesse if that's gonna be a thing, and it's gonna be like when we click on a book in the open world, will that enter our catalog, and then we
Dude.
can place that in our house? Because
Please.
that would literally
Please.
solve a thing that I personally have been asking for
Lots of
since the
people have.
beginning of
Yes.
time. And so if you're gonna have to watch the interview,
I will.
Oh my
But
god.
I have to
No.
potentially all of these bookcases could be filled with literal interactable books that you
Yes.
collected through the world.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
you can be
Yes.
like,
Thank goodness
which
he
book
did
shall I
it.
read today? And then
Thank
literally
goodness
click
he
on
did
it.
it. Thank
I did
goodness he
notice
asked.
Other
Thank
items
goodness.
that were marked.
That's why
as
I'm
being
glad they got
interactive,
a
but
like
that
a
I couldn't
plethora of
interact with. So
people.
lots of crates and stuff that got like the interactive symbol over them.
I noticed things like weapon racks.
Great one.
in
Another thing I
there.
asked about
Yeah.
in my interview. So
great
the,
minds.
the weapon racks, there was two. There was one which was a freestanding one,
Mm-hmm.
as you'd imagine, and there was a wall one as well.
Oh, I
But
see
none
the
of them
wall
had
one there.
weapons on them, which is a bit useless for a weapon stand, right? So yeah, I do ask about that in my interview as well.
Of course.
Okay, we gotta wait for
Also
that.
looking about, there's loads.
It's
of,
looking like you can
kind of
do
paintings
weapons.
and artworks
I'm
on the
assuming.
wall.
I would say
But
there's
we'll
a
do the.
selection of
I'll watch
about
the
8 or 10 in the
Q&A.
menus that we were playing with. I would expect there to be lots more when this feature goes live. One of the things that all of this was about was not just
Oh
to show
shoot!
us this thing,
I
but
didn't want to pause there.
steal ideas off us as well, right? And another idea.
I just want to look at some of that stuff. See, you got some cool tier and stuff.
That I had was, wouldn't it be great if you had the option to create a self-portrait of your character?
How could you not?
Oh.
How could you not?
Exactly. Your player portrait already appears in your health bar in the standard game
Right.
interface. All they'd have to do is put like a little filter over it or something to make it look painty or
Okay.
whatever. Or maybe you'd have a choice of filters and you could create a portrait of
Oh,
yourself.
wow.
The devs were incredibly
cool.
open to these ideas and jotted a lot
Dude,
down and were like, well, now
thank
That's
you.
really
actually.
promising.
Yes,
Sounds like a
do
good
that.
idea.
Okay, I
Do
have
that.
to talk about this frame
that,
because there's a lot
please.
going on here that I'm really interested in this kind of like cozy hoard like bar space.
Yeah.
We've been talking about interactable
Yeah,
items.
this is cool.
Can you cook and or eat food in your house? Will you be able to like level up your cooking?
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so this is really interesting. We talked about this in the round table. How much functionality is there going to be in these things? And it was made very clear to us that, there wouldn't be a thing like a bank or an auction house. This is their philosophy. There's
Okay.
nothing that you get from housing that is going to help you in other parts of the game.
Okay.
Right? So there's never going to be, I have to do this because I play Mythic Plus and this is going to help me in Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mythic Plus
good.
will award stuff for player housing,
Yeah.
but you'll never need to do player housing to optimize.
Okay,
your stuff.
they're gonna
Fascinating.
avoid
Yeah.
They
the.
do seem to be quite
Garrison
open
problem.
to sort of interior personal functions. The example Jesse uses, basically, if it can be done with a toy, it's probably okay to put in a house.
Ooh,
So
okay.
there are like
That's good.
barbershop toys where you can, change your appearance and
Yes.
stuff like that. There are
Mailbox toys?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There are like little mini game toys, a cooking fire, a
A
mailbox,
barbershop
I've just
toy.
noticed this isn't on the outside footage that we've got to use in this video, but something I have seen
Okay.
on outside
Where's a
footage
barbershop
is
from?
a summoning stone outside houses as
yes.
well. There is that kind of functionality there, but I think they really, really want to avoid stuff.
Okay, there's a toy you get in a barbershop. I don't know about a full barbershop toy, but I would love a barbershop in our house. A barbershop in our house would be great.
Like
I don't know
the
about a barbershop toy unless I miss a toy they sold.
line, something like auction house, bank. As I said in the
Transmogrifier
roundtable,
toy.
I feel like there might be an argument for having that stuff in neighborhoods, but not in individual player houses.
What about dyeing and color
Oh,
changing?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, when people talked about dyeing and color changing in the information that we've had in Blue Post before, I was like, yeah, cool, but it's not something I'm interested in at all.
Yeah, how many
It's
colors
so
they got?
awesome. You have no idea. It's so
Okay.
great. Like basically all of the new assets that have been made for player housing.
All right,
and
they
that
just
will
have
be
some colors.
Basically every asset.
But it
ever
looks
made
like
in
a
the
lot.
game from now on.
Okay.
Because whenever designers make assets, they're gonna make them for player housing in mind. This is one of the reasons why it's actually quite hard to put the older assets in. They intend to put all the older assets in, but like a lot of them
That's
don't
great.
have like a bottom. Because they were never made to
Or a
be
back,
yeah,
right?
or a
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
They're never made to be seen in a
Yeah,
3D spec. Like
myself
they're going to be
very
placed
little.
quite specifically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
This
in
looks
much
so
the same
good.
way that when they enabled flying, they had to go and put roofs on a lot of stuff. With the old assets, they quite often have to go and put like a back or a bottom on them. But all of the
Okay,
new
they gotta
stuff
fix a
is
bunch of
gonna be
old stuff,
dyeable,
it looks
so
like.
many different shades, and obviously all these going to be made from alchemy and from different
course.
ingredients and sold on the auction house and stuff like that.
course.
And before and you can go through all the colors of the dyes that you have in your inventory and see a preview of the item. And before you click on that, it's like,
Interesting, so
this
we're
will
gonna
use
learn-
one of your
earn
dyes.
dyes?
You are
Okay.
spending
Yeah.
resources on getting these things. So you see this like kind of like fireplace thing in
Or they're gonna be
just
used
above
for
my head
crafting them.
on this photo here. Like so customizability wise, color wise, you'd be able to change like the color of the metal. You'd be able to change the color of the wood, and you. I think in
That
this case, you'd be able to
accent.
change the little color of the blue accent as well. So how awesome is that?
Is there anywhere you could put like written things? You know, got to put like a live, laugh, love somewhere.
Okay,
Oh
so
my
this was
goodness.
Like in this house, we do not farm crests. In
She
the
would
house.
ask that. Oh my goodness.
people getting a real insight into your own personal style.
Yeah.
They were like,
That's
it would be
funny.
nice to be able to have, you know, someone's house name or something outside. Or because this was brought up when I brought up the player portrait thing.
Yeah.
That's
and,
good.
And they were like, yeah, we
It's
thought
good that
about
they're
letting people
listening.
make their own signs and stuff, but you can't let people do that.
I
They ain't gonna let
It's
people do
something
it.
That's instantly going
Yeah.
to be abused.
Well, exactly.
unfortunately, right?
And you know, we were talking about
Instantly.
the idea of maybe a guest
Instantly
book,
abused.
that you can put that people can sign if they come and visit your house and things like that. And again, it was like they might just be able to print their name or something
Okay,
like that.
that-
It seems
okay.
unlikely that people will be able to actually leave messages.
Is there any correspondence between what your house looks like on the inside and what it looks like on the outside?
No,
None.
no.
So I
In
could just
fact-
have a room full of windows
Yeah.
and that won't register on the outside at all.
So some things I've managed to ascertain from like talking to devs and stuff is
Alright.
there will be a loading screen when you go through your front door.
Okay, makes sense.
Alright.
So neighborhoods
Ma-
are a bit more
yeah.
up in the air at the moment with all
Makes
that stuff.
sense.
Okay.
But when you
Sounds
go through
good.
your front door, there will be planned at the moment a loading screen. So it's not going to be like a delve where you just walk straight in. And the reason for that is
Dude,
because
I'm
it
really
is
liking
the
some
word
of
I heard
these
mentioned a million times by devs,
objects,
which you
dude. They
never
look
hear
so
them
good.
mention in any official correspondence for obvious reasons is TARDIS, right? This idea that it's just completely different.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So where you place the windows,
bigger on the
they're gonna
inside.
appear on the outside wall or anything like that. Another
That's
interesting
good.
thing that came out of my interview,
That's what I
which you
expected.
definitely
That's what
watched,
I
is
expected.
that the quality of light that comes through the windows
Yes.
doesn't change.
Okay, is it dictated
So
by the
it won't,
window?
like represents the server time or
Day-night
anything
cycle,
like that. Yeah. What Jesse said is it gives you control over how a certain space looks. You don't want to put a window in and achieve a certain type of light
Yeah.
for the desired effect that you want, only for that to change.
Yeah.
I think it
Okay,
would be nice
that's good.
to have maybe some windows that do that.
I would like a
Yeah.
customization option for the window when I put it in to say, what type of light do you want coming in?
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at the room
Specific
you
or
made
changing.
in just a
That'd
moment,
be
but
good.
I have to talk about exteriors first. I have so many questions, and
great.
it looks incredible. Okay, so first
Are we gonna
off,
get to the Q&A?
there are loads of people wondering about. Is
Okay.
this is
I
this
know,
just like kind of a fun Blizzard thing?
Okay, well, let me talk you through like our experience of the exterior.
Yeah,
So
tell me about
we
it.
had all the footage that you're seeing here. Was basically just on a video that was playing on a loop on big screens
Okay.
throughout the room where we were doing our interiors.
Okay, so this
So
is
it was
all
like
something Blizzard
boring into your
prepared.
mind.
Yeah,
It's
totally,
being
and you know,
absorbed.
and it was all these pictures of the
That looks
interior,
so
but
good.
also of the exteriors as well. And of course, this is the first we've seen of it, like in-game assets of an actual neighborhood
Yeah,
and what it's going to look
foxes.
like. And so we were like, "Are we going to get that
Oh,
footage?"
shit.
And someone said yes, and we were like, "Whoa!" So just like the idea that we can sit here and watch this is stunning.
Dude.
I want to say I've also seen other
It's so
pictures of exteriors which we haven't been given, right? So I've seen a render of the Horde neighborhood as
Yes, I was
well.
gonna ask.
And the thing that I would mention is how interesting the biomes are. Okay, that
Okay.
you're not
The
getting. there. So there
biomes.
is
That's what
lots
I'm
of different
talking about. The
styles
biomes
of
matter
the
for
neighborhood.
houses.
And they're pretty big, the neighborhoods as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Horde players at the moment, there is a worry in their mind that it's going to be just a dusty Durotar kind of
Yeah.
place. But I think Horde players will be very, very pleased with how lush the Horde neighborhood is. Like there's a
Nice.
lot of Ashara trees, there's coast, there's rivers, there's beautiful like levels and
Good.
leaves.
Durotar's
and stuff like
regrowing
that. It
in the
looks
lore.
really awesome. There is a dark kind of Forsaken-y bit.
Of
There
course.
is like a dusty,
Oh.
deserty bit in it as
Yeah.
well. There is a lot of stuff that when we talk about the
Oh.
neighborhoods here that we can like observe. A lot of it is going to
Interesting.
be kind of.
I can't wait to
only
see the Horde one.
observation, But we do have some.
The Horde one is going to be amazing. So interesting. I don't think it's gonna have Blood Oath things. He mentioned a little bit Forsaken-y from what he's seen. The Dusty, the Ashara. I want to see Goblin style. Oh my goodness, Blizzard! Invite me to test the Horde one, please. I will say it's the best ever, because it probably will be.
specific information that we've got out of these interviews as well.
Okay. So my first question about these neighborhoods and your exteriors, how dense are they? Like, do you get a,
Yeah,
kind
how
of a big
dense?
plot? Do you get some houses like out in a farmyard, or are they all grouped together? How does that look?
Great question, because I had the exact same question. And
Sweet.
It's actually really, really interesting. Some of these houses are quite secluded and out in a little corner
Okay.
somewhere. But the shot that is really exciting, I think, is what you might describe as the village square or whatever.
Okay,
where
you
there
can
are
be a
lots of
hermit
houses
or
quite
not.
densely packed together, actually.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like you really do have neighbors there. And when I talked to Jesse about that, he was like, yeah, this is absolutely intentional. You know, if you want a nice secluded hermit hut somewhere, you can.
Yes,
And
I'm a
if you want
hermit.
to be more in like the social hub of the neighborhood,
I hope
you
we
know,
get
you can.
options
I
for
love that they've done
characters,
that.
but
Are
I
there
feel
bigger
like
and
we
smaller
won't.
plots? Because that's going to create some.
I mean,
you know.
so it looks on this footage like some of them have a bit more outdoor space than others, but I don't think that's the intention. I think you're essentially going to have
pretty
the amount,
standard.
the standard amount of space outside to kind of place things. Inside doesn't matter, of course.
My understanding is that
Yeah.
in this kind of like Alliance Elwyn style neighborhood, houses will have a similar vibe,
Yeah.
more or less, and you'll be able to kind of customize them within that overall style. Or would I say be able to build like a Silver Moon style house, you know, within this neighborhood?
That was a question they wouldn't answer.
Oh,
But it's clear from the footage that, as suspected, no. Everything in this kind of alliance neighborhood is going to be a human-style house,
Yeah,
right? Like I
it'll
say,
have some
I've
coherence,
No, but-
like
right? It makes sense.
I've seen like different kind of bell towers and stuff, and different chimneys.
But they
and
are
different,
gonna let you-
roofs and things like that. And
they said they're gonna let. I thought they said we're gonna be able to do something with the exterior. Some customization on the exterior.
different like adornments outside. So I think there is going to be lots of customization that you can have from the footage that we've seen,
Yeah.
that I've seen. Yes, there is a consistent look and style of the house, and that was the same in the render of the Horde. One that I saw too. Although I am looking at this right now,
Night
and
elf.
there definitely does seem to be like a night elf themed kind of building in the corner there, doesn't there?
There does.
And that would appear to shit in the mouth of everything that I've just said about
Dude.
exterior buildings, wouldn't it?
So in this shot, in
I hope they
particular,
give us
spy
exterior
something that
options.
Looks like maybe a bit of a garden shed, or maybe even a bit of a stable.
Yeah.
Was there any indication on those?
Very interesting. Obviously, there was a lot of questions
fountain.
about mounts and pets,
Absolutely.
and things like that.
They got to
And-
live somewhere.
Exactly, and like, devs have a way of confirming stuff without actually confirming stuff, or denying stuff without actually denying stuff. You know, they're very cagey, but you can usually glean what they mean. And yeah, obviously we're gonna have like a stable for mounts.
Okay,
When
good.
Someone talked about placing, you know, pets like furniture sort of thing around the house. They just nodded very effusively, and they were like, "Yeah, we want your house to feel lived
Okay.
in. Bringing your space alive is something that they
Dude,
said quite a lot.
imagine-
I feel
One of the things, you know how you had the windows open? Imagine with all the decorations, one of those be like pets, and then you can start placing some pets.
from their responses, they definitely intend to allow pets walking around. And another thing I asked in the round table, can our
But I wonder how
alts
many.
be like furniture? So when you're on one character, you have like your alts wandering around as well.
Or just like sitting around a
Oh.
table.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Just
and,
moaning
and,
about how they're not being played.
and they were like, the response that I made out was just to pets walking around.
Yeah.
Was actually to my question about alts.
Ah,
and they were
okay,
like,
yeah.
we want the space to feel lived in. We don't
Yeah.
want it to be a solid tableau. And you know, they didn't say, yes, your alts will be able to walk around the home and you'll see them when you're on one character and they'll be there. But they said yes. So like I say, that
Time to
might
level
Hold
change,
up.
But they
Hold up. Hold up. Maybe I don't want all my alts walking around. Maybe I don't want them all in one person's house. Hold up now. I got too many alts for that.
they basically said yes.
Time to transmog all of my alts. Oh
And
my
that,
god.
how exciting
Right?
is that? Well, the thing is, right, so we now have clarification that there is, in fact, per account, there's one home that you can have, which is Alliance, and one home that you can have, which is Horde.
Okay.
So, like,
Makes sense.
your
Okay. So one home for Alliance, one Horde for home.
Alliance home is the
Okay.
home to all of your Alliance. So it makes sense that they should be in there, inhabiting the
That's got to change when we get more houses.
space.
Absolutely. So we see loads of buildings kind of in this neighborhood, and presumably there'll be, player housing. Are any of those spaces meant to be communal spaces?
There was a guy there called Toby, and when he introduced himself, he's like, "Yo, I'm Toby. I make neighborhood content." And Jesse was like, "That's a spoiler, by the way."
Neighborhood content.
There is neighborhood
Okay.
content, and something that we all mentioned was like, is there going to
We
be
already knew there was going to be
communal
some
space
though.
here? And again, whenever we asked anything,
They talked about
how they
events and
work,
stuff.
basically, we were told that's something we're going to talk about later. But again, it definitely seems like that is going to be the case.
Okay.
If it wasn't the case before,
I feel like
think
they've
it's
already
definitely
talked
the
about
case
it.
now, after everyone at the summit was like, "Can we have this, please?"
Please.
And I've got to say, it does certainly look that way from these shots here that we can see.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine, particularly if you have like a guild neighborhood, a guild hall, right? Like we've kind of talked about this before in other videos and podcasts, like a hall where you as a guild like can congregate. Maybe you have some.
Here's the
items
thing.
related to, like,
I'm not a big guild hall enthusiast, but they got housing, so maybe we need more houses though.
guild
First.
achievements that you can put up in there, or raids, or keys, but also like kind of more semi-open spaces like a tavern, just like a place where people could just wander in at any point and just feel a bit more communal, like a stage, a
Yeah.
theater.
I completely agree. And like, so
We
I
got that
think
in
stuff
Dornoval.
like tavern, a stage, like a bandstand, or
Yeah,
something.
bandstand.
or even like an amphitheater or
Fair.
something like that, a dueling ring. All of these things
We
I
need
think
more-
would
we
be
need them in neighborhoods,
tremendous
though.
to have. They didn't turn around and go, "No, that's not our plans at all." So it feels like that is something that on some level is going to happen. I asked Toby, "Are you planning on a seasonal approach to neighborhoods and neighborhood content?" And he was like, "Absolutely." So they are working hard with holiday teams and stuff like that.
Seasonal as in holiday, not seasonal. Season 1 content of neighborhoods. Season 2 neighborhoods. Seasonal as in
And it
holidays.
feels like, just going by
For a
what
second,
he
I was
said,
like,
what Jesse has said it,
seasonal,
I've heard him
what?
say as well. It feels like there might be, for example, seasonal challenges and stuff like that. Like you could, like
okay.
everyone in the neighborhood will get something really cool if, say, for example, everyone in the neighborhood puts a certain type of tree outside,
Or does,
at the
Oh.
same time, or something
Participates
like
in
that.
some
yeah,
way,
exactly. And
yeah.
It better not be
that's kind of
everyone.
the idea that I kind of gathered from the very
Dude,
cagey
if
responses
some
that
people
came
be
in.
trolling
I
though,
love the idea
some people
of
could
kind
troll.
of seasonal outdoor decor as well. Like people are gonna love decorating their neighborhoods for Wintervale. Communal spaces would be really appealing.
private
for
neighborhoods
guilds, for friends, for people who want to
at a
hang out.
disadvantage.
Role players, is absolute like paradise.
Okay, so role players is a thing I specifically.
That'd be the thing. Our private areas at a disadvantage of less people. And
Yeah,
stuff like
asked
that.
about because obviously role-playing servers work on different rules to normal servers. They have slightly bigger shards, but they also have like quite strict rules on things like naming conventions and
Absolutely,
the way
yeah.
you interact with other players. And I was like, are you going to be mixing RP players with non-RP server players in neighborhoods, or will neighborhoods be kind of, the only people in this neighborhood are from RP servers?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
otherwise you're going to have RP players coming into contact with players that don't have to follow certain naming restrictions for their characters,
Yeah.
that don't have to follow certain restrictions with how they interact with other players and stuff like that. Jesse assured me that they are working hard
neighborhoods.
on how they're approaching RP server neighborhoods,
Okay.
which definitely suggests that RP servers will have their own neighborhoods, and so all the rules of RP servers will apply within those neighborhoods.
That makes sense.
Something we do definitely know,
Okay.
which you'll be able to see there, is there will be NPCs walking
I was
around
gonna
as well.
ask.
Okay, so I mean,
That's
one
good.
thing that Jesse kind of mentioned in the PAX panel was this idea of, you can complete a quest, and that might result in the quest giver, if they're a certain vendor or something, becoming a fixture in your neighborhood.
Do you
What?
get the impression that there might be any
So is the neighborhood gonna be a personal phase?
kind of major lore characters who can hang out in your neighborhood? Like, could we have Xalatath,
It
like literally
feels
just chilling
unlikely.
in the bar? Okay,
No.
I figured it'll be more like minor characters, like,
Uh-huh.
hey, I'm the blacksmith, I'm just
Yeah,
chilling, right?
exactly.
Okay, Callie, you have been extremely enthusiastic.
She's gonna be a raid boss. She
about,
can't be in your
player
home.
housing as a whole, about everything we've
Unless,
seen so far. I have to ask: is there anything that
like
you
a
came
Nixia.
across that didn't really like hit the mark for you, or that let you down?
Yes. There's some
Would it be
concerns
like
I
a
do have.
void
I think
thing?
the system is incredible. And
Okay.
I want to make that
I'm
very
so
clear.
excited.
One thing I noticed that was when I opened
looks
the
good.
inventory to see all the stuff that I can place within the room, there was a shop icon on the inventory. Which I wasn't functional, but which I had it confirmed to me is intended to link to the in-game store. Look, I'm not someone who like rages about the in-game store or whatever. Like they are going to sell so much stuff on the store for this. But if this goes live, it would be the first direct button link to the in-game shop within the game's actual interface. Usually you have to go to like your exit screen with the options, the edit mode, and you can click onto shop there, right? So you have to like, it's not integrated into an in-game UI.
Yeah.
So to like open your inventory in the house.
I hope that
obviously
shop
you want to go
button.
like, oh, I need a thing.
No, he said they confirmed it goes to the in-game shop, dude.
Right. I think that's intrusive. I don't like it. I think it's a step too far. I don't know how much.
Dude, no. That would be like having the shop button in your mount journal, right? That would be like pulling up your mount journal and being like, here's your mounts. Hey, look, you can buy some more right here. Come on.
Of that, the devs we spoke to be perfectly honest. But what they did say was that they are taking the same philosophy with player housing items that they take with transmog and mounts, which basically means if something is a store item, it won't be the case that it's like something that appears in game, and the store is another way of getting that.
Yeah,
it will be like, this is a store item. It's not like you can't be bothered to get it in games, so you get it in the store.
I don't think it should be in that interface.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. I don't think it should be in that interface. Having that confirmation,
I don't think it should be in the interface.
The other thing that I didn't like was,
do not have it be in the housing interface. Have it be in the housing section in the normal shop. Everyone knows how to get to it. Do not make it like mobile freaking games where it's like... Hearthstone's already doing it, dude. But Hearthstone's free to play. This is a subscription game. I do not want that in my face. That's it. That's all I ask. I'm fine with the shop. Just... don't throw it in my face.
Something I saw, but something that was explained to me. I asked specifically, these zones... are you going to add new landmass to the in-game kind of map? Are they going to appear on the map? Will you be able to, for example, see it from Stormwind?
Right.
And it's not, for example, like the way you currently get to Silvermoon, where you have to fly through a cave entrance like this big to get into like this whole like zone. Yep. And they were like, well... you'll be able to see like an abstraction of it. And I was like, will you be able to fly straight into it like you can with garrisons? And Jesse said, I don't know. TBC.
Okay.
When I asked in the round table, it felt much more likely that it's going to be like another loading screen to get into your neighborhood. Okay. Which... whatever, man. Hey. So that was like,
I'm
even
fine.
in the shop, that was like my biggest disappointment. And
no, I assume that
the thing they're describing isn't even there.
I assume neighborhoods would work that way. Like it's a little grotto in between and you get a little instance, because that's how you add spaces into the old world that don't fit.
So we've had a proper look now at the interiors of housing, the exteriors as well.
Though I would like, right, if you could like mount up in the neighborhood, whoop, and then zone out like that.
Well, a little bit about the neighborhoods and functionality there, seeing how things work, and even had a taste of Tally's own interior design ability.
This is what I managed to make, and I enjoyed every single second of it. And I can see myself tinkering with player housing literally forever. Like, it's going to be one of those things where sometimes you just might want to change your style. You might just enjoy the gameplay of putting
the shop thing kind of brought down my mood.
You want to like redesign an entire space around.
I can't wait to see what other people thought.
Absolutely.
I think if they weren't planning it before, I think I've definitely convinced the team to award literal trophies for certain things like Gladiator and like Keystone Legends, stuff like that.
If you can have like a cool mount, you should have a trophy.
Exactly,
right?
A literal trophy which you can then put and display in like a trophy cabinet or a shelf or something like that. So you might get your Gladiator trophy and you want to display that in your house. And so it's like, I need new. I've got so many trophies now. I now gotta.
If I had one of those, my house would literally just be a room with like a giant trophy. In
Well,
the
that's
middle.
exactly what I said. I was like, look, I've only got one. Can I just make it
That's
really big?
huge.
Yeah, just make it.
I think there is.
No,
content
you make
here
the
to a
trophy
level
like
that
a
anyone wants
pool.
it, and that's why I think it's so brilliant. I
Right?
think there's enough here
Like
for
you
people
get the
who don't
trophy
care
big
about
and then you
housing to
clip it
engage
through
with
the
it
floor.
in a completely minimal way and still enjoy it. I think more importantly, there is room for people to just sink themselves into this completely. I cannot explain properly how good I think this is. I'm genuinely blown away by it. I think it's magical. I loved seeing what everyone had done
Oh, it's so
within the
good.
space that we saw. I can't
I
wait
think the
to see some of
pre-built-
the incredible
I
things.
think a lot more people are going to use these good pre-built stuff, so I'm glad that the team, like the WoW team, is actually
the
giving
community
people
does with
pre-built.
this. Interactive
I hope they
things,
bring
but
that
also
to the
just really
live.
imaginative spaces
Yeah.
and communal things.
I was really excited at the idea of player housing and like the whole concept. And it's kind of amazing now seeing things that I was hoping for, my expectations being met, but also kind of wildly exceeded. That's really exciting. Seeing the actual like style templates being there is really promising and really cool. All in all,
I didn't really have
it looks
expectations, but yeah,
incredible,
my
and I'm
expectations
really
are
excited
exceeded
to give it a
for
go.
sure.
I've
I'm
said in
excited.
this video, if you were looking forward to player housing, I don't think there's anything here that you will actually be disappointed with in terms of the interiors and
That's
the decor
good.
and stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong though. If there is something that you are disappointed by and that you think is failing in some way, let us know.
I am curious. Okay, I'm letting you know right now, Taliesin. I'm curious how collecting all these items are going to be. How collecting the die is going to be. I'm glad you were asking about books. Interactable books, that's great. How is farming those for a giant library going to go? How much gold are we going to have to drop for bookshelves? You know, that's the kind of stuff I really want to figure out now. Because the base that they did, the structure, the system that we are getting for housing is looking perfect. And how it works. Gameplay wise, it's feeling good. But it's like,
No.
I want to get into the nitty-gritty.
And if there's something that you've seen here which you're super excited about, let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm
If you
excited
like this
about what
video,
you did
thank
here.
us. Thank
was
Blizzard,
good.
who allowed us to come out and play all this and see it for ourselves.
Excuse me, us,
excited.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
she's
our
like,
patrons who give their
I
actual
didn't get
real
to
life money
play.
to
Thanks.
make
Guys.
all of our work happen. And
All
seriously,
right.
guys, thank you, because without
All right.
you, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin Nevertell. If
Thank
didn't
you.
Like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is Jesse Kalanchik. No, my
All
name's
right,
Taliesin
that's the
for
guy.
me.
And me, Avatar.
Until next time, cheerio!
Cheerio, that was good. Okay, so we got the next one, okay? They did great, 10 out of 10. Big like. Thank you, Taliesin, for that look. Now we're moving on to... Let's see who.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dratnos, and today we have a
Dratnos.
player housing video. So
I'm gonna
me,
be on the
a couple of other
opposite
WoW
side.
creators, and some game journalists got flown out by Blizzard to play with player housing, the current beta version that they have, internal. I think the first time any
I see a fellow Horde housing enjoyer. I see a fellow Horde housing enjoyer here. And with the trees, now I'm putting it together. Maybe it's a little bit of Ashen Vale, a little bit of Ashara. Duratar's being reforested, but I want some of that coast
anybody outside
too.
of the company got to test it out. It was super sick, very cool.
Oh,
And
man.
I'll tell you more about my thoughts on that. We also got a dev interview, which I teamed up with Preach to record a dev interview, so that'll go up on his channel. There may have been some audio issues. They're trying to figure that out.
Okay,
So
I'll have to
hopefully
look
it
at the
ends up turning
Q&As
out
too.
okay. Whenever I wake up, I'll put a link in the description to that video, or you just go find Preach's YouTube channels, and it's on one of them. Okay,
Dratnos
so
is great.
they also gave us some B-roll footage, and that would be what would be playing back here, except I actually think it's interesting enough and instructive enough that I wanted to just talk over it as if it wasn't B-roll footage, and as if it was, like the main event here for a while. So let's start off with that. So this is the footage that we have of player housing. So first of all,
Okay.
I'm going to pause this thing a lot to show you what we're looking at here. So this is the Alliance player
So he's gonna show us the footage straight up. Thank you. I know we saw a lot of it from the Taliesin. He's gonna give us just straight footage.
housing zone. We didn't actually get to go outside in the test that we did. We were just inside. The way it works is that houses are instanced and the neighborhoods are instanced.
That's
and
what
the
I thought.
neighborhoods are persistent. So I mean, this has been in their posts already. But if you're in a certain neighborhood with certain neighbors, you will stay in that neighborhood with those neighbors. until you or they decide to move. It's not like, going outside to Duratar and you might end up in a random shard each time. It's not like that at all. It's a pretty
random
persistent place,
shard.
although you can move to, join a different neighborhood if you want to get in one with your friends or your guild or your community. And then there are also public ones and all that stuff. So this is the Alliance one. This is it's like a Westfall, Elwyn,
3 minutes.
Duskwood a little bit.
They only got y'all 3 minutes?
Kind of vibe. And the way it works is you have your house with your plot, and you can decorate the outside and the inside.
Oh, okay.
And the inside doesn't have to match the outside. You can go inside like a house and then just have a huge tower inside, although not that huge. Their current limits that they have are like 10 rooms and 3 stories is what you can do inside your house.
That's
and you can
solid.
make rooms of all different sizes and stick them together however you like. So it is a very robust tool for doing that. So let's keep watching this. So this is some of the outside here. Here's somebody's house.
Oh, that's one.
House over there. Somebody's house over there. People fishing.
All right.
The river. People walking by and waving at each other. There's another person's house. Let's see what else we've got going on in this footage, because I think we're going to get to go inside soon. But yeah, you can decorate the outside to look kind of however you like. So here's an outside house.
Yeah, that looks good.
We didn't actually, again, get our hands on this, but these are like decorations, these vines and stuff. All the kind of doodads you can see.
Yeah, the pre-built stuff looks super good.
Tent back here that I guess my head.
I mean, the WoW team.
Yeah, you can see that.
The WoW team is really good at building zones.
Back there, down there.
In my opinion,
they're
really good.
That they've got going on this one.
Holy moly!
So yeah, you can make the outside look cool. You can get that little fountain and stuff like that.
I want to build stuff.
But then the inside was what we actually got to play with ourselves, and I got to take 3 screenshots with me of the inside that I built, which are not as pretty as the insides that they built. But
yo, Drat,
you can see the inside of like
I'm gonna judge your house.
Tavern thing
I can't wait to see it. I hope you show it.
All of this you could do. All of this we could do with the. With what they gave us, right? Which was, there's like probably a couple hundred decorations
Cobwebs
available. So this is like a room.
Chandeliers.
These pillars, you can get.
Look, Xandalari, Goblin, Gilnan, Volturian. That's Horde. Did they do a spike and then clip this through it? Or is that attached to it? It feels like it's attached to it, but you got more Horde. You got, oh, it looks so good.
You can get anything and spin it around however you want. So I think these like support things that are diagonal here is just this wooden pillar, but turned sideways. You get a tusk with a lantern on it. These chandeliers. Now, in the build they gave us, the lighting was kind of scuffed, so a lot of the things that were supposed to emit light didn't. These chandeliers were among the few things that actually correctly gave off the right amount of light. But this is a very early alpha build, so it's extremely... There was a lot of stuff that was, kind of scuffed, but you could see what they were going for.
Midnight alpha build.
I'm not too worried about those. But yeah, you could do a lot of cool stuff with this. You could, shove things further into the ground. So like these things that they're using here as seats. I don't know what asset this is, but... They could maybe there's more stuff that's underneath them that they've just hidden, or you could squish these even further onto the ground if you wanted. If you wanted just like
dude, the full advanced mode is going to be peak
for a seat, something like that. You could do all kinds of stuff. One of the demonstrations they did, they took these like tankers and pushed them far enough down into the countertop that it looked like just a circle on a grill. So
burger patties. That was cool.
Of these tankers pushed far enough down into a counter that they looked like the circles of a gas stove.
Really
so a lot of options like that. In fact, one of my screenshots.
I'm basically going to be hearing information, but through the eyes of different players. But to see all of these players happy is making me happy.
That I will show you. It demonstrates that thing. You can see also Anixia's head is over here. The goal is going to be for there to be a lot of trophies that you can put into your house from doing stuff like killing Anixia, from basically anywhere that loot drops from.
That's what we want.
And yeah, I'm kind of assuming a lot of knowledge from those
how
already. So if you want to watch, I've made videos reading through all the housing blue posts so far. I'll try and remember to put a card up to link you to those.
All right. Yeah, look at his
Anixia's head was the only
housing
one that was
video.
implemented in the build.
I did that too.
Let's see the next room that they show off here and see if there's any more
Undead
stuff. that I
stuff.
can, mention from that. So okay, here's
The
a
big
room.
room.
These floating books are really cool. This is like, I think this was the coolest decoration thing that they had. There's like a floating book tornado thing where they kind of
good.
rotate around like that. A lot of people that I saw were using
like
that in
that.
their houses.
I like that
But
that's
you can see what they're doing
automatically
here.
gonna
So
be a thing.
there's like a staircase room
These feel
that
like
is
night
the default that they're working with here.
Nightborn
And all
books.
the rooms have the walls behind them. And the walls, there were actually only 5 different variations for wallpaper that were in
Oh,
this build. I hope there will be
5.
more later. But what a lot of these footage that you're going to see here, what they did is they...
Okay, so Taliesin said Blood Elf. We got human, orc.
made the walls look different by just sticking stuff in front of them. So they just put these bookshelves in front of those walls. And you can see the bookshelves actually have different books in them. Like here, there's, you know, a goblet and then a couple of books and then a sideways book. And you can do that, right? Like take this book, turn it sideways and do that. Like this, that is all, you can make it look like that if you want, which is very cool. And okay, next one here.
I
So
wonder
you can see
all the
that
wallpaper. So
floating
there's
book
only
tornado.
5.
You can just
they were
leave things
saying.
in the middle of the air if
He
you
was
want.
saying.
You can drag stuff up and down and just
So I
have
assume
stuff
5
floating
floors.
wherever you want. You can shove things into the walls, into the ceilings, into the ground.
That's the question. So you can do Horde interiors on Alliance in Alliance houses. Can you do Horde exteriors in Alliance neighborhoods?
Or into the floor,
Oh-ho.
wall, ceiling a little bit, although not all the way into the wall. And they actually have some pretty cool tech for this. So you'd be a little worried about shoving something through the ceiling or through the floor and then seeing it on the floor above or below. But they have like a buffer between all the floors. So it's like, you know, the room, and then there's like a couple of feet of empty space between that and the next room that is built into it. So you don't accidentally see the, you know, whatever you're shoving into the floor.
Maybe
or
if
the
it's big
ceiling for
enough, you
effect
can.
doesn't show up unless you go really ham with it.
Yeah, go
Next
really
room.
big.
You can also scale up and down all of these things. They had a it's from 0% scale all the way up to 200%. Now 200% didn't actually feel, there were some things where I wish I could scale them up past 200%. And you could also dye most.
You know what, Dratnos? I agree. Yes, Blizzard, listen to both of us now. Go beyond 200%, 300%, 400%. Allow us to make a giant thing.
These things, not all of them.
Be our
So the way it
house.
seemed to work was that a lot of the like vanilla assets or TBC assets weren't dyeable, but a lot of the more modern assets were. And when
Okay.
we talked to the artists about it, it seemed like it's an issue of like, if this asset, they actually have to go in and map what are the metal bits, what are the wood bits, and then give you those different options to dye them separately.
Okay.
So for instance, this board back here, I believe is a
You have to make
armor
all the
or
different
weapon rack
versions.
that they've got on the wall here. This functionality wasn't in yet, but I assume what they're going for is to actually display your transmogs, your weapons and armor that you've earned over the
So there'd be a
years,
pet
on
section,
these sorts
transmog
of
section, like your
decorations.
weapons.
But this is a dyeable piece, so you could go into this piece
Pop up
and
for that.
dye all the metal. The metal, I think the studs and the wood were the 3 things you could dye, and there's a bunch of dye colors. Like you could do whatever you wanted.
That's good.
And also, if you dyed a bunch of objects back to back, it would remember the colors you'd used recently and put them near the top of the list, so you could dye everything on a similar palette.
That's
if you wanted
nice.
to. Now, not all the objects were dyeable. A lot of the oldest assets weren't, but I think that's something that they're going to continue to work on. The wallpapers also
That's
weren't
good.
all dyeable, which I think would be a big thing that would help add some more variety with how you can make the walls look. Because like
That's
all of
good.
the walls that look good in these
Yeah, for
photos
the Blood Elf one, you'd want a Blood Elf version and a Void Elf version.
are them dropping. They're not actually the walls of the room, but they're putting partitions, putting these extra pieces in front of the actual walls of the room, and that helps them. I think that's a good thing that a lot of
Interesting.
good builds will have, because it makes the space more cool and dynamic and 3-dimensional. But when I was playing around with it, I did feel pretty restricted by only having like 5 actual wallpaper choices on the back. Now again,
Okay.
the entire experience I had with this was like, my
wanna see your
appetite was
houses.
so whetted that I wanted so much more, and they are working on
He
so
was
much more.
hungry.
This is an early build. there's going to be a lot more for a lot of this stuff by the time it actually comes out. So I don't mean to sound negative about any of that. Just relaying what my experience was like.
You don't. You're good.
Playing with
This
this.
Sounds good.
So okay,
I'm
let's
excited.
keep watching through the footage here. Again, the decoration, it was pretty cool. So when you wanted to move decorations around, you could do it in simple mode or advanced mode. Again, they've already talked about this in one of the posts, but the simple mode just lets you could either freeform it or snap to a grid on the ground. The grid displayed very nicely. If you look down at the ground, it would and it would sort of show where you
That's
were
good. I
relative
like
to the nearest
grids.
walls and ceiling as well. So that worked really nicely. If you put something on top of something and then moved the bottom thing, the thing on top of it would move. So this is a table with a goblet and some food put on top of it. And so you would place the table, and then you could place the goblet and the food on top of it. And then
that could help you do more of that funky.
The goblet and the food would move with it, which was nice. But I found myself using the advanced mode more often, which gave me a little bit more precision. It has the like 3D program controls, so
that's awesome.
6 arrows, forward, back, left, right, up, down.
And you can see all the stuff they're doing,
and then you could also change it to have those turn into
all the little
wheels
designs,
to rotate it instead.
all the little options.
And you get the scalar to resize.
No, that's good.
Left, right, up, down on anything that you click, and then you could also change it to have those turn into wheels to rotate it instead, and you get the scalar to resize it. And it was actually very easy to switch between it. You could keybind almost everything to do all of your switching. So if
I'm with Evatil, I want to be able to change the light you get from Windows.
You use this tool a reasonable amount, you'd be able to do a lot of that kind of stuff very easily. Even by the end of just like a couple hours of doing this, I could pretty competently, exert my will upon the the surroundings. So
I mean, he's an advanced player though, but
here's another room. Again, you can see what they're doing.
It's
here.
good that they're going to be able to ease people in.
This wood pillar, turning it sideways, and then making a beautiful, triangular shaped room thing. So this is not a default thing. This is like the person.
That's
the person designed this, and
you can see how it kind of clips through, but it looks like it doesn't.
Rotated, lying on the walls. You can see here, just like these are the 3 same books, but rotated in different directions, looking very pretty. And bookshelves on the wall.
I wonder if they have something like this pre-built. Like, look at these like curtains,
drapes over them. Very cool.
Oh, looks so good.
Very, extremely.
Yeah, the box above too.
Really cool experience to see, and we got to see one of the artists like make one of these rooms for 30 minutes, kind of talking through the process, and
that was probably great.
It was very cool. I think this is going to be one of those things.
I wonder if that will be the next post, is them going like having someone build the thing, and we'll see that.
Are gonna have a lot of fun, making tutorials and showing off how they got different effects. It reminds me of like Minecraft building, where it's like, you take a stair block and you turn it upside down, and now it looks like a stool or whatever, or chairs, those kind of things.
Dude, I love Minecraft.
One of those little rooms.
Okay, Minecraft, I did.
I'm not gonna go too much more into covering stuff
building,
that I've already covered for the rest of this B-roll footage.
I built more than houses.
But if there's something I noticed that's cool that you wouldn't
pyramids,
know,
towers,
it's not obvious from just looking
mines.
At it, I'll call it out. Yeah, a lot of these are the same rooms as well. They're filtering back through now. This is a nice one though. There were a lot of paintings, and there are going to be a lot more, I think, as well. This is again
that Taliesin's idea of character portrait.
Same nice staircase room with the floating
that would
book
be
tornado.
So good.
I think again a lot of us made a lot of use out of the floating book tornado. Some of these things were interactable as well, like the fireplaces you could turn off and on, chairs and stuff you could sit on. So that was pretty cool.
Good.
The windows were
fireplaces,
a few light sources that worked, so that was nice for getting some light.
Oh, I like that.
And then okay, this looks like the upper floor.
That feels older than Xandalon.
The stairs room we saw with again more of those books.
That feels Amani.
Bookshelves.
I want Amani stuff.
Individually placed. That like so.
Can we get an Amani
house?
This
is an asset you can see here. Like this is one of the decorations you could get. This like row of books. But then also so is this individual book, this goblet, this individual book, this little 3-pack or 4-pack of books. I think,
okay.
As well.
That's good. He's shown us. So that's a 3-pack. This one's a full. This one's a full. I wonder if this one's a full. This one looks like a full too. We got this option, that. Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah, we see it everywhere. We see that there. This looks like a full option. So we got 1, 2, 3 book full options right here.
Well, and you can sort of see them where they're reusing these ones. And this is with a pretty limited library. Like, you'd be surprised by, this is all the stuff that we had access to. It's a pretty small library in terms of total amount of decorations. It still is a lot, and the amount of options that we had even with that was huge. But when this actually comes out for realsies, there's going to be way, way more stuff, because they're in this sort of process now where all the decorations that they make going forward are going to be easy to put into player housing. And they're also sort of going back and taking all these old assets and converting them into being player housing compatible. Because the problem is that a lot of the really
It looks
old
like they
assets
got a lot right now.
Don't have a back or a bottom or something like that, because the artist just knew to only use them against the wall or something like that. And now that they want to put them in the player housing system where players can do whatever they want with them, they have to be a little bit more.
I want a Nefarian throne.
Or they have to go back and like retrofit those old assets. But they said if you wanted to have like a vanilla themed house with old low poly stuff, that's going to be an option. You can do that kind of stuff if you want to. The basic idea is that most of the things you might want to do, you could. If you wanted to make like a mage tower feeling thing, you could. If you wanted to make it themed around any different race or class, you could. And then
well, it feels like some is limited.
It was like they were kind of asking us what sort of things we most wanted to see out of it, and at
least for wallpapers,
was basically like there's years and years of features that are awesome that people will want added to this, and they will add to it based on sort of in the order that the community wants of additions and improvements to the player housing.
That's why we gotta keep asking, and also look a picture of what was.
I realized I kind of paused there on a little bit of a artifacty frame. We're almost done with the B-roll, and then I can show you the screenshots from my my little creations and tell you about the stuff that I made when I was getting to play around with this. Yeah, okay, you can see again. We got some food, some lobster. A lot of us used the lobster because we were in Boston for this, so that made a lot of sense. Okay, let me pull up my.
Let's see them.
Thing. Oop. Nearly fell off here where I've parked my character for the scenic ambiance of. This is sort of where the horde area is going to be. I don't know if we saw any footage of it in that B-roll, but in one of the present PowerPoints they showed us, there was some either concept art or screenshots from the horde area, and it looked very nice. It was like a sort of Duratar, Ajara, Ashenvale.
Okay, that's good.
That's why I parked my character here. You can't really see anywhere like it in the game world yet.
I'm so excited for I'm more excited for the horde one than the Alliance one. 100%.
Okay, so here's my screenshots. We've got, this is a very poorly lit, because I don't think these were giving off the right amount of light, and my room is pretty
Yo!
I made a jump puzzle.
Yo, you making like the Assassin's Creed crypt jump puzzles.
A couple people made some jump puzzles, but I was just playing around with the different objects. So you could stack these blocks on top of each other, and this is just a 3-story tall.
This looks good.
Like rectangle.
I think that's another wallpaper.
And fill with whatever you wanted. You could make a jump puzzle all the way up to the top if you wanted.
Or maybe
that's sort of what I tried to do.
Okay, maybe that's not wallpaper.
So this is actually really hard. I had to nerf it several times because I kept falling off on like this jump and this one over here. But it was pretty fun to make. You just throw some stuff into the wall, take a platform, rotate it, take another platform, rotate it a different way, transform it a different way, stick some stuff together, have like a beam coming out of the
whole
platform.
tower.
And I'm not very good at this. This is something that
you did good.
Screenshots, as you can see,
he said he's not very good, but you know what? You were doing something. You were having fun.
Definitely still was a tremendous amount of fun.
He was having fun, and that's what it's about. That looked fine for a little jump tower.
Here's some of the different wall styling.
Night Elves. You see this? You see what Dratnos is cooking here, Night Elves? There you go. Night Elf, Blood Elf. Night Elf, Blood Elf, Human, Orc wallpapers. Or at least
so here,
some wall
stuff.
Like,
of the 5 styles of wallpaper / floor paper / ceiling paper that they had, here you can see some Blood Elf style, which I actually thought the Blood Elf style looked really good. I used it for a lot of my stuff. And then the Night Elf style here.
That's good.
Here's a painting, and I put a window behind the painting, and that's sort of, you can see the square outline of where the window is here, but it's pretty hidden behind there, and it sort of makes the painting glowy. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay. So the trick here would be, right? You take the window, you spin it, then you like enlarge it so that it does the full, that's
some of this room that I made.
That if you had
in
more
the
time.
Background as well. If we zoom in, you can see I've got like a table, put some benches
That looks
around
good.
it. I put some of these orbs on the benches and some
little
candles and
doodads.
food on the table. Again, the lighting in here
That looks good.
was
The Night Elves,
all super implemented
Dratnos.
and stuff.
All Night Elf players love you for what you did here
But
with this Night Elf stuff.
and then last screenshot here, we've got, again, this is more of the Blood Elf architecture.
Put a book in a wall.
Wallpaper, floor paper.
Taliesin had his style. He was making a thing. He was making a home. He was making a room. Dratnos was making a house. He was making, like, okay, I want the tower here. I want this. I'm doing this. He was doing the whole thing, it looked like.
Here's a book, that book that we saw earlier. I just put it into the wall, and that's now like a wall decoration thing. So I just turned the book around, shoved it into the wall, and that's
shelf.
the limit of the creativity you're going to get from me on this. But that's, you know, the kind of thing you could do where you could take an asset and
hey, we got 3 pictures out of you. That's good.
And I thought it looked good, and it, you know, matched the colors of the.
It's something you were working with something. You could do like a shelf.
Actually, I didn't take. We only got to take home 3 screenshots. I took a lot of screenshots, and then they had to pick our 3 favorites. And
3, yo, where were Taliesin's other ones? What are we talking about here? Where did you put them?
I didn't really have a good screenshot in one of the area through here, but I made like a maze. You can make a maze if you want to. I made a maze with these.
He was having a good time.
Sections that you can drop and
I like that.
Spin around and rotate and stuff. So I had a maze room over there, and then this was the stairs up. I sort of did a 3-story tower where
I'm gonna be real.
Blood Elf themed, and then the middle story was not.
I'm gonna be real, Dratnos. You're over here like I built a maze over in this room. I did a thing over here, and you're gonna tell me you took a picture of this book in a wall? All right.
Sort of human-y.
I would have rather seen the maze room.
You know, couldn't show you all that with the screenshots I got to take home, so you'll have to settle for these.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what we got.
Cool. It was the kind of thing where playing with it, there was a lot of worry from, you know, the community that the housing was not going to live up to expectations, and I think it definitely is gonna.
Yeah, it looks
really
like it's gonna, from everything I'm seeing.
And to move these different pieces around. You know, a lot of my work looks pretty bad, but a lot of the work from other people
now listen
was actually, it looked really nice.
Listen, Dratnos. Housing's for everyone. Did your house make you happy? Look, even someone who's like, oh, housing isn't for me, but I had a fun time running around playing housing for hours. This is great. I'm happy.
I was messing around with things and trying to see how much I could break of the different things and making my jump puzzle, and then I got frustrated and kept trying to solve my jump puzzle and spent like 30 minutes wiping to some of these jumps and having to nerf them, and so that took up some of my precious time, so fell down that rabbit hole a little bit.
So we can die in our house, Dratnos? Is that what you confirmed? We are able to die in our house from fall damage.
It was a tremendous amount of fun, and yeah, I think the housing is going to be, I think it's going to be an all-timer as far as WoW features go. I think this is going to it's going to be something that separates, you know, the first 20 years of WoW from the next 20 years is going to be like the pre-housing era and the housing era. I think they've done a really, really good job.
That's good to hear.
It was you could just do almost anything you wanted to. If you had an idea for a house, you could make that a reality very obviously with the systems that they had. I spent a lot of time like sticking the rooms together in different orders, and that tool was pretty robust. I don't have a screenshot of that, but the like blueprint, you know, floor planner tool that they had was really sick, and you could do all kinds of things with making your house have a different, you know, footprint, and it was pretty generous. Most of the things were.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's pretty generous. How much materials are we gonna have to farm for this stuff?
One of those things where you kept like running into
that's the biggest question I had.
Annoying. The only thing that happened to me a few times was I wanted to stick something 95% into the wall, and it would only let me stick it like 80% into the wall. That came up a couple times for me. Other than that, I don't know, anything I wanted to do, I could. So that was my experience with player housing. In terms of the questions asked and answered by the devs, there's a lot of stuff you'll get in the interview with me and Preach, and then from the other interviews. There was also a roundtable we got to do with the devs. From that, some of the biggest things that I took away were...
let me know.
This is a Midnight feature. This is a feature for Midnight expansion, and it's going to come out some...
Midnight expansion. So it's only possible during pre-patch to be earlier than midnight, kind of.
Time in the pre-patch to launch time
Yeah.
frame for midnight. So this is still a ways away. We don't actually know the midnight release date or anything.
Yeah, my theory is January, February. Looking for this, something like that. February is what I'm thinking, and then expansion in March. That's my current theory. 2.7 in December. Then we got the pre-patch in February and expansion in March. That's what I'm thinking. But it's good to get confirmation about time frame here.
Thing like that. Although my suspicion is that it might be sooner than you would guess from previous expansions, because I kind of get the feeling they don't want to do a Fated season again. That's personal speculation. Heard nothing about that at the actual event or anything like that. So I feel like I should clarify there.
Maybe January.
Yeah, almost everything about this feature massively exceeded my expectations. It was super fun to play with. I cannot wait for this thing to be live. If you have any questions about how this works, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I will try and answer as many as at least the ones that, if there's anything that I didn't cover here that I actually know the answer to, I will put the answers to those down below.
I think you kind of answered mine, Dratnos. It was I guess you can die in the
Thanks so much
home.
for watching. Thanks to Blizzard for flying me out and letting me see all of this. Thanks to Preach for doing the interview with me as well. That was a good time. It was a blast. And see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Dratnos. Thank you. That was good. Excellent. I like that one too. All of them so far have been great. Now we're moving. Okay, we'll do Preach. I'm saving Soul for last because he loves it. Hopefully all these people are fine with me reacting. That's why I'm trying to pause any ad reads. I'll see. So far, none have had ads. I guess because it's for Blizzard.
The message was clear at my event with Blizzard this weekend. Housing is here to stay.
All right, so this is Preach's video. Preach is great. I guess Preach was with Dratnos for the major part, and they got an interview. I may analyze the interviews and then talk about that. But we're going to react to this. And like I said, all the links and stuff.
They have been working on this for a really long time, and it is way, way better than you think it's going to be. Let's get into this.
Okay. He's been salty at WoW. The last video I saw of him, he was talking about Undermine. Like, I'm bored. I don't want to play it. Now he's like, yo, this is like the best. So we know this is good.
Quick fire a ton of stuff at you
because he'll blast
a hell of a lot. But I want to preface this very quickly, so indulge me for 1 minute. This thing that I went to with Blizzard is not the usual thing we get to do. This was not a marketing thing. We weren't allowed to record. We did do some interviews, but a lot of it can't be used because the devs were very open about where the future and stuff is going, and we can't share.
Look at how happy he is.
We'll have our interview on our other channel as much as we could possibly show you. This whole purpose was that PAX was going on in Boston. They were having the WoW 30th.
I knew something was going on.
And they just asked, can some of you hang out for an extra day in order to come and check this? You just happen to be in town, so please come and check out this thing. That was the whole purpose of it. It was off the books in terms of like being a big media event. It was nothing to do with that. And it was dedicated to genuine proper feedback. In fact, only a couple of the people who went to this thing are pure dedicated WoW players. What they did do, though, was invite a bunch of people who have dealt with housing in other games. They had some very Final Fantasy 14 focused people. Everybody was there for a specific reason. If you don't know,
I guess that's Zeppelin. So does Zeppelin have one?
I have held the largest Final Fantasy 14 housing events in the game over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so Preach has this huge housing stuff in Final Fantasy. He's literally talking about it right now. But that's another... He's played more housing... other games, right? Like the housing games I played. Minecraft. I played ESO a little bit. But the main ones I played is Animal Crossing, where house building is kind of the main thing. But he's done it in MMOs. He's going to talk about these cool events and the housing they do in there. So if he says the housing is good in WoW, It's gonna be huge. This is gonna be huge. And then after this video is gonna be Soul. I'm excited.
So that's why I was there to talk about the kind of events and things we can do. Everybody else had their own purpose. And we sat down and we talked with individual devs, the whole team who's working out of their Boston office, who's been working on housing. We had like a UI dedicated person there who wanted negative feedback. They were very open of like, we get the praise. We want to hear where the problems are, where we can improve it, what things you've dealt with in other games, all that kind of thing. This is the focus. WoW is going very classic here in terms of Blizzard. They have looked at everything, and they're not shy about it either. They have looked at Valheim, Stardew Valley. They've looked at Final Fantasy XIV. They've looked at WildStar. They've looked at Path of Exile. They've looked at all these games, and they found what they like about it, and then they've made it better. I'm just going to say it. They have. They've made it better.
Oh,
that's where Blizzard got its name from. They looked at what other games were doing.
Excited as hell.
They like it. It's good. How do we take all that and then we make our own version, which is superior? And that is exactly what they've done. It's very classic 2004 to 2010.
So, Preach, you just saying outright, yo, WoW housing better than Final Fantasy 14? Probably because we can get housing from what I hear about Final Fantasy 14.
Blizzard, where they were so far ahead, they were just making their own stuff, and it didn't quite work out in some cases. So, with that said, I'm just going to quick fire through some stuff for you to get your answers out there, all right? I'm doing this in a nice numbered list for you guys. Number one, these houses are like the TARDIS. For non-Doctor Who fans, that means that the outside of the house, which is something you can decorate.
His is a great explainer. Oh, this is great.
Does not equate to what is inside the house. If you want a one-room entryway with a sprawling vast church on the second floor, and then you want your third floor to turn into a 5-story tower jumping puzzle, you can do that. You can do whatever the hell you want with the shape, the rooms. It doesn't matter. You want to build a giant room? Go ahead and do that. They come in like these preset things, and you can just attach them to the side. Just have a button say, add another room. What do you want this to be? Do you want this to be a clock tower? Do you want it to be a double high, massive empty box? Do you want it to be a giant, wide open octagon space? Go ahead. Just clap it on. It doesn't matter what's beneath it in any way so far. The limitation is really, are the rooms accessible? You can't just make a floating room off in the middle of nowhere that no one can get to. That you can't do. But do you want to make a giant mega jumping puzzle? Sure.
And then a room at the very tippy top.
Sure. Do you want to make hidden rooms with secret doorways and passages? Yep. Yes. You can totally do that. The whole focus is freedom.
I want that.
Do you want random blocks and things just floating in midair? Do you want a 200% scaled candlestick that shoots through the ceiling and looks like it's stabbing you in the face? Yep. Go ahead and...
Thank you, Preach. Thank you. I wanted to know about a giant candlestick going through. But Dratnos made me worried. 200%? 200%?
Well, we were talking to Jay Huang, who's been the art and prop guy for Blizzard for like over 15 years. He was literally doing demonstrations for us, and he was like, I designed that table in like Mists of Pandaria that's here now. He was saying that they did a ton of research. In particular, Valheim came up again, and they have a gravity system. And it became very apparent, is like, why are we bothering with gravity? Let's just not do that. It's not fun.
Boom.
Players always find ways and means of...
Blizzard said gravity? Fuck that.
Things to get them in the right place. So let's just do away with that and have them put things wherever they want. If the player just wants random stuff because they're creating a magical Karazhan-themed place, let them do it. It's fine.
We're in fucking WoW.
It doesn't matter whatsoever. Just let them go and do it. If you want to just... the limitation on this, you want to push things through a wall? Go ahead. It's not a problem. Do you want to bury this? Do you want this to just be enormous and an inconvenience for you?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Great.
You can literally just put stuff in free-floating space wherever the hell you feel.
Free-floating. Like
Number
the
3,
flying books.
Creativity is everything, okay? All the new items that are coming into WoW are designed with housing in mind, especially the dyeable ones, okay? Because if you haven't seen already, you can dye and change the color of some of the items. Not all, it's the new ones. And that is going to be the focus going forward, which we had confirmed with new assets coming into WoW. So they've got 2 problems they're dealing with. One,
the second these dies hit the game, it's going to be asked for armor, and I feel like as much as I want it for armor, oh my god, I don't know how they fit armor and dies. They've already screwed the foods there, but dude, dies for this? Great. I'm very curious. Taliesin made it seem like it was alchemy. No one else said it like that dies, you gotta unlock them. So we'll have to
A lot
see.
of the old items literally don't have like a bottom or a side on some of them because they were never going to be seen
No.
by the player. So
Third
why
time
would
we
you
hear
bother
this.
putting a bottom into it, right? So some tankards and
Listen,
carpets.
I already knew that about WoW Classic objects. Anyone who's jumped through walls in WoW Classic knows that they didn't build that
And
shit.
things like that just don't
Right.
have an underneath. They were never going to be seen.
Good
So they are
enough.
retroactively going back and adding stuff to that over time. And they pointed out that we get basically a push every other day of brand new items that are being added to the library that have been fixed by the art team. New items, though, are all being designed with this.
Yo, that's why Dratnos kept saying, oh, they're adding more. Oh, they're adding more. They literally just said, yeah, every day people fix the backs of old stuff and we just push it in.
In mind. That means that there's a new layer every time there's a big patch coming for World of Warcraft.
That's gonna be great.
Forevermore. This isn't going away. That
That's
means that
great.
if the next patch, based on the cutscene, and I'm not spoiling anything here, the cutscene is ethereal themed, you're going to get not only a new zone, awesome, new raid, awesome, but you're also going to get a bunch of new housing stuff because the assets for the new zone or whatever,
Perfect.
you think about how dense the undermine is, are going to be joining the housing system
Dude,
as well. Right? So you're gonna get that new layer forever.
I will be farming so many decorations from Undermine. It's crazy.
Or as long as, you know, if this works, which it should, there's just going to add, oh, cool, we're getting a new Murloc themed or troll themed place. That also means we're getting a whole bunch of new housing things to come along with it, right?
I want us to side with the Amani and then be like, thank you for stopping all the wars and taking our land. Here, you can have a house nearby. And we get an Amani neighborhood, and Horde get to hang out there. It's going to be great.
So that then means the next issue. Number 4. How many items can you have? For those of you who've definitely played Final Fantasy XIV, you will have probably come up against the item cap in a house very regularly. You can have a very limited amount of items, which means if you make a very dense room that's full of micro details and really tiny little things to give it that really nice depth and wonderful flavor you want to go for, the likelihood is you'll hit the item cap and you'll have to block off the rest of the house because that will have to be empty. You literally cannot put more items into the house. That is not going to be a thing from what we can see in World of Warcraft at all. The item cap we got in the build we played with, which is not like the release candidate or anything, was 10,000 items.
Whoa!
Buildings and rooms and houses they have created.
Yo, they just said, man, the limit will be your wallet, boy, with the shop. You want 20 crates, $10. No, I don't know. I am concerned about that shop, but I think collecting the items will be the big thing in WoW.
Which involves, if all the marketing you've seen for housing is one house that Jay built. It's one house. All the shots you've seen of different themes, restaurants, all that kind of stuff is just one house. They've not gone past 2,000 items.
Building the greatest house in WoW.
You can be immense. Absolutely immense. This should not really be a thing. Now, having said that, there is a caveat to it. Everything we were able to build in our build meant that one item took up one slot of the 10,000, right? That's not probably going to be the case in the live version because not everything is made equal. If you want to put a 200-foot rotating giant windmill in your building, which you can do right now, we did that, that will maybe take 5 slots, right?
Did they say that?
An undermined goblin pointing...
Are you assuming that, or did they say that?
Arrow that you attach to a wall will be 1. So they will vary that a little bit, but generally speaking, items will not be a limitation in doing this. Number 5.
Did they say that, or are you assuming that? Because if they said that, I'm sad. If you're just assuming that, you know, fair. I'm worried about how much they're gonna... How hard it's gonna be to collect that amount of items for your house, but...
How hard is it to use? It is stupidly easy to use. Like, to the point where the easy mode we didn't use because we defaulted to the advanced mode more than anything because we were rubbish with using the easy mode, which they came around and were like, everything you're trying to do right now in advanced mode, you could do very easily in the easy mode because you have snap mode, where it will just like clip to things. And if you
snap
say put segments of a floor together to make a fountain area, it will go, oh, you're making a circle. We'll just clip it together, or you can detach it or whatever, so you can move the whole thing. If you put several things together. You then have freeform mode, so you can just rotate it using the mouse wheel or whatever. You can do whatever you want to do. And then you have the advanced mode where you can change the shape, size of it, and individual rotations and spin it and do all kinds of things.
Preach. Please tell me you have screenshots of your house. I hope so.
You can actually do that with the easy mode. It's just that we were rubbish with that, and we just defaulted to the advanced mode, which was still really easy to use. That is totally fine. It's very, very simple to use. They've done a great job here. I was actually really surprised. There are some limitations based on the feedback we gave, which is going to be added to the game. Like, I want to make sure you understand that everything I'm talking to you about now has been direct.
I'm glad I'm getting to hear everybody's feedback and how they put it. This is so good watching all of these.
Fed back to them, and they're fully aware of it. So such things as a quick bar. If you're building, like Dratnos built this very intense maze to get lost in, you're probably going to be using one piece of wall many, many times.
Right.
So a hotbar to put
Talking
that
about
on,
Dratty.
so I can just click that hotbar and
Drat
keep going.
maze.
Because you can keybind everything that you're doing.
He's never going to beat the rat allegations. Dratnos, he literally is building his own rat maze for himself. I know he's great, but man,
Which is
apparently
great.
he likes to play
I rebound all my keys to
Rats
housing
and keys.
very quickly, and it worked out super well. Is you probably want that on a hotbar and a favorites list. That's all coming into the game. One thing that is missing
FYI, I think Dratnos is great. I just thought the maze
right now
was
that they're
funny.
working on is a history mode. I'll talk more about that later in the limitations. But generally speaking, cloning is more difficult. So if you make, let's say you make a very custom thing. So one example, I made this view through a window, which is a very common thing to do in housing, where I took a piece of wall, I then like scaled it to a certain way to get a piece of the wall, and then I buried that wall into the floor so that I could create this window outlet that was the right size for my character. All that kind of stuff took very specific measurements.
Should
I
have took a
can't then
picture.
clone that piece to say I want the window to be twice as wide. So I want to clone that and do it again. That's a limitation they're working on. And a history mode to go back through various changes that you made. They want to check into that. There's a technical...
Yo, Legend of Zelda, Tears of a Kingdom. Look at the history mode. Blizzard, if you hear me, anyone who hears this. Tears of a Kingdom, they had that great history mode, man. We just pull back up stuff you built. Oh, man.
issue that they're trying to resolve for that, but at the same time, it's not a mega inconvenience because all the information is given to you very easily. All the degrees are listed numerically, so you can just easily copy them, as well as the scaling numbers. So it's a minor inconvenience, nice to have for those kinds of things that you want to have. Number 6 then, performance. You're probably worried about performance, right? Fine. Actually really, really fine. You've got to think about it. This is
if you're in your own instance, performance should be fine.
Actually not going... It's no different than a building in WoW without the rest of the outside world loaded either. There's a lot of things in there. I will say, I'm not going to mention any names. Some people did try to crash it by filling the 10,000 slots and didn't manage it. They've tried. They tried to lag it by making the most ridiculous things you could possibly imagine. Let's put it this way. If your game...
I hope that was Soul. I don't know who that was. I don't know who he's talking about. But good on you trying to lag it out. Good on you.
Okay in the open world, you're going to be absolutely fine. And if you want to try, I have no doubt somebody will be able to lag this game out. Of course they will. Or create some sort of glitchy issue within this. But it's going to be an uphill battle that you're going to be trying to force to happen, right?
Good.
That's going to be the thing that's going to happen there.
Blizzard. Let me in, I'll lag it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I know
Okay, those are the general things outside.
The second I see the items in the list, I'll be like, oh, yo, this is the laggy item. Yo, I'm going to make my house a giant trap of, like,
I'm looking at this with you have some
blocks where you clip through at high speed and then get logged out that way.
When the devs were hanging out with us, I was like, you've opened this, the word of the thing I said was, this is Pandora's box. And that then became like the word of the day. It's Pandora's box. There's already way more creativity and freedom than I expected from the first version of housing. And
That's good.
The problem you have now, which I think we all ran into, is you start having really grand ideas about things that you want that aren't there yet. Like ridiculous things. Because you have this whole massive template
But that's
in front
it.
of you. And
Oh no, there's so many things I can do. What a problem to have. What a problem to have. Oh no, there's so many different things I can do. World first problem right there.
want to fulfill more insanity. You just want more and more things to do with it. Like, I want mega spotlights to create crazy shadows and things. And they're like, yep, that's coming. We're totally working on that. And now I want, like, tailored music. Can I get music to, like, be in this zone of the room? And then the music shifts here so I can almost tell a story, because I can predict this, like, horror themed place where I want somebody to see something in a corridor and then the music shifts. And like,
shadow stuff.
We're working on that. All those kind of things. But that's their issue they're going to run into. So I'm going to move into limitations and things now. Again, to reiterate, everything I'm about to tell you, we have already fed back to the
Limitation.
devs, and they're aware of it, and they're looking at it, and be under no illusion.
I just
Everything I'm
wanted to
talking about
say
right now is one of
limitations.
like infinite avenues that Blizzard now has to explore over the next 10 years. So
Final
number
Fantasy
one,
looks wild.
import, export, all right? Not, let's face facts. Most of us, especially me, are not creative geniuses when it comes to housing. And actually just creating, I don't have the patience to do the
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Um,
I'm talking about pre-builts, but this import export, that sounds good. That feels very hard to do for a house, I feel.
But there are those people out there, and this opens a whole new avenue for.
But here's the thing:
users
if
and
they got pre-builts, then they can do this.
truly amazing creative people to build wonderful, wonderful things. Now, here's the issue you run into, and this occurs if you're not aware of or you've not played a game with housing before. This is actually a genuine thing. Is you're opening the possibility of account sharing because you want those people to come and do your house. Hell, we do this not with account sharing, is we commission people and they build things in properties they have access to for us, be that for the Race to World First, if we're doing an FF14 Race to World First, or for our parties and themed parties that we want to do. We have commissioned artists who go out and create these properties for us.
Yo, this is really interesting, and again, I'm really glad that they did a bunch of different people for this. Because I'm glad he's talking about this, because I would have never thought about this idea, but he's bringing up a lot of stuff.
And they're phenomenal, right? These builders are absolutely phenomenal. Similar to what we have already in WoW with loadouts and talents and things, import-export is a massive deal for me. One, you want to curb any possibility of account sharing whatsoever, or you want to be able to give moderation rights to another player to say, like, you are the server's... S-Fand actually had a really good point here. It's like, when in Classic, somebody gets the recipe of, say, Lionheart Helm, that's the Lionheart Helm guy, and you want to speak to that guy and get them involved. That is going to happen with housing with these very creative people and gives a whole new lease on life for the game, is you want them to either be able to come in and work on your property, right? Or...
Are we... So, either Blizzard... Okay, so, I want Blizzard to have pre-built stuff. I want Blizzard to have pre-built stuff. If they can't do this import-exporting thing on top of their pre-built stuff, I like this idea. Say Shannon, right? She likes to design her home. I'm just gonna use my stepdad. Say my stepdad wants a specific type of room. They don't really have a pre-built option, and he goes, "Hey, how about I allow you?" allow me on my characters to edit his house for him. That would be an interesting idea. I feel like there should be some problems with that, but if one character allows another character, maybe it'd be like a whitelist where it's like this character can edit my house as well. Well, that's not on my account. It'll be interesting to see.
Or you want creators, new, fresh YouTubers and streamers and things who build these magnificent things and are then able.
Yeah, I can do. Look at my room. Here's the code. Share it. Share the video. Drop a like and stuff like that kind of deal. That's cool.
To upload it and share it so that you're curbing that, and also people can have wonderful, glorious houses that they just not are creatively inclined or have the patience all the time to invest in and to share in what those guys create. So that would be a huge plus. If you've ever played Path of Exile, you'll know this is a huge thing. People create these
that's
wonderful
awesome.
and also, you know, outlandish
If that's a house in a game, that's cool.
2, longevity. This is a big concern of mine. Dead neighborhoods are a very real thing, especially in FF14. Everybody wants a house. Everybody can get a house. And wow, it's far easier than ever to get a house. Everybody has access to one. And then the internals of the house are completely untouched. They have the house, they have their plots, and then they don't do anything with it. An enormous percentage of houses are just bare empty inside. Now, this is where the neighborhoods are going to come in, because you'll know how it feels, right? You will be very excited week 1 to come into it.
If they limit characters from getting, so say I can only have one house, one horde house, right? My account's going to be on a neighborhood. I'm going to be using it with all my characters going through that house. That will help keep neighborhoods more alive, I think.
And then you're like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone now, right? You don't want that to happen. So neighborhoods are something they weren't able to publicly, I'm dancing around it here, tell us much about. It's what I'll say. Because they're not.
Taliesin already told us some about it. They've already told us. We've already mentioned neighborhoods events, and the different kinds of neighborhoods. Like, that's already been implied.
Not ready to give detail on that. However, we were with the neighborhood lead, Toby, who was, I'll say this for the public viewing, nudge us in the direction that they're going with this. So they were very clear. We do not want housing to be something that's like bolted onto the game, and that's a separate feature of the game. So you have World of Warcraft, and then you have WoW housing. It's kind of got this distinct line between it. And that's where neighborhoods will come in. They're giving you like low 50s, so they weren't specific. It's like 50 to 55, depending, housing slots, which should be more than large enough for a good active guild.
Okay.
You're in a crazy cesspool guild with like hundreds and hundreds.
Okay, that's a big one. So if you had a private one, that would be empty. A private one with 50 slots empty, you're gonna be alone. But if that's what you want, I feel like that's what you want.
People in there, that's not quite big enough. Have multiple neighborhoods, but for, you know, the vast majority of active interactive guilds, that will be fine. But they're going to be holding events there, seasonal events and things like that will be happening outside construction.
I'm really curious how a private neighborhood's going to work
will
with
be
how they're
going
doing
on,
this.
and hopefully the activity to create events will be a big deal in order to incentivize you actually going back there. So this isn't, say, Siren Isle. I go, I get my ring, and I just leave, and I never go back there again unless I want some pets or something like that.
Right.
That's not what they're going for here, because that is a real issue in other games where housing is a separate game. 14 would be an example of that. And if you're not into it, you just never see it again. I have a house because I got the achievement. You have a house, right? Number 3. So return. Number 3 then would be return.
This is an interesting concern.
If you go
It's kind of like it's the opposite of the garrison problem. Are people going to be locked away in their garrisons and never see anyone? Are people not going to, and this is, are people not going to go to housing after the first time? Right? I don't think that's going to happen because people are going to like housing. But it is interesting for how neighborhoods are going to work. What's going to bring people out into the neighborhood? Is there going to be a reason to be out in the neighborhood other than just walking around for the sights? And maybe that's it. Maybe that's all a neighborhood's for. You know, some events, some stuff you could do in the neighborhood. Maybe not too much, but it's just for that nice scenic view. Like, hey, I'm walking to my house. You know, most people are going to want to go straight to their house, maybe report straight to their house, or you're going to have to go through the instance and then you can't fly and then you got to walk through to your house or ride through to your house.
What you can, they're going to have a progression system, right? So let's say week 1, this is another big concern of mine that I made them aware of, and they're working to make sure this doesn't happen. is that they will have some sort of progression system, right? I got to play, as the rest of us did, with basically a fully unlocked housing system. However, if this system comes in and week 1 I am that super hype guy and I've got all these ideas, I go to my house and I obviously, depending on what your past history with the game is, it's going to unlock a bunch of stuff for you immediately. If you've got achievements and things, it'll go, oh, you already did this. So it's
I know, but you were talking about chairs and all this stuff.
Unlocked for you. But you will have limitations. So you want to build this crazy, crazy jumping puzzle that's going to be like 6 stories high. It's going to have a connecting bridge across the middle that connects to something else. And you've got this huge idea. However, you go week 1 and you're kind of limited to floor 2 and maybe like 4 rooms. And you're like, oh, okay. And it's not until you get to like progression track 5 to get more.
Week 1 or day 1 of housing. This Meeksy man. You know the Meeksies? This raccoon dog man comes up to you. He's like, my name's Tom. I see you living out of a tent. How would you like a house? I can give you a home loan. Okay? Sign this contract. I'll give you a home loan. Alright? Oh, you finished off paying this loan? How would you like a new room? How would you like a 2nd floor? Sign on to this home loan now, too. Is that what we getting into? Is that what we getting into, Blizzard?
Things,
please.
By the time you hit that,
I
you
want
kind
it.
of lost interest.
Listen, Blizzard. I want that. Give me Tom Nook. And WoW.
That excitement has dwindled away, and you just can't be bothered, right? It's kind of just fallen into, oh, okay, well, I've unlocked it. I'll go and check that weekend, maybe, or anything like that. That is a real problem that I don't want them to run into. People should be able to do some pretty amazing things day 1. I think that's a vital part of this.
Okay, how much is a chair gonna cost? Like, am I walking up like, yo, Lumberjack, I want to buy like 50 chairs. He's gonna be like, 10,000 gold? Yo, what? No. Like, 10 gold a chair, right? 500 gold? That's fine.
Yes, they're aware of it. They're going to do stuff to incentivize you there. I want to be clear on this, though. If you don't want to engage with housing, they were very clear on this, then you don't have to, right? They want to incentivize you going back and investigating your neighborhoods and going seeing it so it's not unfamiliar, it's not a forgotten part.
If they want more people to care about housing, give us pre-built rooms that people can make up in their house for the like, big housing people, for the more normal, like, I'm going to use myself as an example. He's probably going to be like, I just want this cool looking room. And then maybe they'll have a list, like a shopping list. Like, you need this many chairs, this many that. I'll be like, okay, I'll go do that for this room. Then he's like, you know what? I want to add to my house now. Bring up another pre-built room. Shopping list. Go get all that stuff. I think that'd be great.
Green. This is something that's going to be here forevermore. But if you were like, I hate housing. Sure, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Then you won't have to deal with it in any way. So they're not going to tie it to anything. Number 4. Utility. Oh my god. There were a couple of, I'm not mentioning names, but a couple of young creators there who were not there during the Garrison days. I was really lucky in the, I don't know if they're releasing any of the pictures because they took a lot of us during these round. We literally had big bunch of chairs in a circle where we were all shooting back and forth. I was sat next to Paul Cubitt. That name might not mean anything to you, but it should. Paul's been there forever. I interviewed him back when I went to visit the campus. This guy is a creative genius, responsible for a lot of cool things in World of Warcraft. And some of the younger creators who were there were like, what about utility? Can we have like an auction house? And I was like, oh no. It's happening again.
Yeah, we don't want too much utility.
No. I turned to Paul and I went, the sins of the father. And he looked at me and he went, and it was nice to see the devs were like, look, we're not saying no, and I will give massive shouts here to Zeppler, big FF14 creator, who was very clear on a good suggestion that the devs were like, that's a really good idea. So the idea of mining and herbing came up because wouldn't it make sense that the neighborhood has like a garden that can get the herbs and things like that? And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. It's happening all over again. But then we had good suggestions like, well, what if there is gardens and things, but the things you're growing there are actually to unlock housing things? That makes total sense.
Okay.
That is
That
totally
was
fine
good.
because what we can do here is add in profession items where there are specialists who can build very specific items, and that uses like the neighborhood system and all that kind of stuff to create those things which other people might not engage with, and then be able to commission, you know, things to go in the auction house and things like that.
Work
in the
orders.
cities,
We already
they
got
may
that.
have. They didn't say no.
A neighborhood having a work order spot may be fine. A bank, an auction house may be too much. But that's the thing. Listen, we're talking about utility. If I can mount outside my house, I get an auction house, a mailbox. The only thing strapped to capitals right now is a bank. Alright? Unless you're a goblin. Some other toys.
To everything. Like, it does make sense that there's some sort of mailbox or something like that available in the neighborhoods. That fits, but they're very wary of adding utility in any form to this that actually is like progression utility to the outside game. Because if you weren't there during WoD and you're not sure why my heart skips a beat whenever this comes up, garrisons had utility and function in them. They had a mine. They had a herb garden. It meant there was no reason to go out into the world at all because
the mine and the herb garden were the big
everything
things.
you would ever need for your flasks, potions, your self-fulfilling prophecy.
They're so nice. Listen, I want a whole fucking mine to mine. I played Minecraft. I played Minecraft. But like
mine, they had a herb garden. It meant there was no reason to go out into the world at all because you could daily collect everything you would ever need for your flasks, potions, your
on your alts too. That's all they came.
You could cover every profession in the game without ever leaving your base, and it was instant stuff. It just killed the world. Like, you don't want that at all. Next one is acceptance of this. This is going to be an interesting journey for WoW players. Roleplay in particular. Again, this is why Pandora's box kept coming up. Roleplay has been looked down on by a lot of WoW players, despite the fact that roleplay servers are a huge thing, and roleplay has existed forever in World of Warcraft, right? And I know
they go wild in
where
Final
housing
Fantasy
is already a thing, is this opens the doors to infinite possibilities of what's going to be happening within the game that they need to be aware of. Some of it was a bit extreme that they were like, really? And like, yeah, like traveling casinos, right? Gambling is a big no-no in World of Warcraft, but you're going to have traveling casinos because players figured out a long time ago how to have active gambling within the game, especially with trustworthy organizations, which are now going to be a thing in World of Warcraft. You're going to know the proper Gallywix Casino Discord, and these guys will turn up and they will provide bars and they will provide various different gambling games that can be played without any of the utility of the game itself between players. They can play blackjack together.
RP bars. They ain't going to be sending you drinks.
These kind of things have been done before. You're going to have that. You're going to have strip clubs, right? You think Goldshire is bad, and some people go, strip clubs. Like, dude, this is already in the game in a long way. Check out Drama Time on Friday. This already exists in a huge way, and now you're going to have organized ones, like genuinely organized ones with proper parties and things going on. That is absolutely going to happen. But on the less degenerate side, you're going to have
if people can be invited to these public neighborhoods and then come over, you're going to see what he's talking about. This is all stuff I haven't thought about, but, he's coming from Final Fantasy, so...
Which you guys probably don't even know about. There is a huge amount of live venue DJs that are extraordinary, right? I think of names like Miu Fei, DJ Cyborg, all these people who have regularly DJ'd parties in FF and spin-off, like, remixes of the soundtracks and things like that to the game in a wonderful
I will
way.
say this. It'll be cool for maybe... No, because if RP servers are away from normal servers, you will probably not see some of this in the normal neighborhoods. Because normal people just going to be like, man, I'm just here to get my stuff done. I got M+ to grind, I got raids to do, I got collecting to do, I got this and that. But this is going to be huge for RPers, so I'm glad I'm listening to this.
Parties. These are now going to be...
I may not have much input on this part because it is not my cup of tea. But I know I don't think the majority of people are RPers. Who knows? Maybe it is. But most people are going to be going to their neighborhood to get to the house to get this stuff. Maybe their house set up and be happy with their house. Because a lot of people like personal property like their own personal little house, their own personal little area when they going through the neighborhood, unless it's great. Like if we see a lot of these events in normal neighborhoods, that could be cool, but
An active thing in World
I
of
don't think they're
Warcraft,
gonna pay
'cause they'll have
attention to this
venues to
stuff.
go to, and people will be able to attend. This is something I'm super
Though
excited.
you know what, you got more creators talking about it, more people. You'll get more people into it, so that I think this is great for our peers. For sure.
Because I was skeptical, like many of you are, as to how this actually plays out. Because you always think it's cringe and people just ERPing all over the place, but like that's not the case at all.
They already do that in
Believe me, but
Goldshire.
when you visit
Already
these
done.
things, and I encourage you to do. You'll be like, oh, that's not what this is. This is actually something really different, and a lot of people having fun, and more importantly, player-made events. This is the evergreen content.
Literally inside, there's someone that sits out of the bank called Casino Girl that runs a casino. So there's already gambling in WoW. So
you want in your MMO, because this opens the door for the
Death
social
rolls.
elements that World of Warcraft specifically has lacked for a really long time, with phasing and innocuous names and people being changed from their name to rogue or mage or whatever. The resistance is going to be there for this, but ultimately, if it's handled well and it's encouraged and Blizzard supports these kinds of events and publicizes major ones, then this is going to be an immense addition.
they ain't gonna publicize the ERP, the concerts, Gallywix Casino is up. We
There's
may see
so
that
much
in WoW.
more that I want to talk about with you guys, but I want to keep it as short as possible. So we'll have the full interview over on our second channel, like I mentioned earlier. But the idea of IP crossover for different themes, right? Can we get StarCraft themed stuff? What if I kill Lilith
Yes.
on hardcore in D4? Can I then have a Lilith trophy?
Yes.
I will say, like NPCs
Please.
working in the houses, right? This is a big thing that I can play dress up with. People love doing that kind of stuff. My warband alts hanging out. They already have shown your pets and stuff will be available. All these kind of things. And the message.
Yo, they've already shown that your pets will be available. That's good.
Me. If this is version 1 that I got to test of the housing, they've way exceeded expectations.
That's great.
By a long, long way. It was really nice that they stopped a lot of the feedback to say, this is great, all the positive. We want the negative. Where are you running into issues? And we gave a lot, especially on like UI interactions, search criteria, all this kind of stuff. We really looked at everything.
That's good.
Basically, if you can think of it, they've thought about it and are working on it. But they're working on Pandora's box. Every single person who plays with housing is going to want something else.
Yeah.
And that's going to be coming.
It's
gonna take
never
time. This is
ending.
years
This
and years of
never ending
work. But for a
system. It's
starting point,
evergreen.
How they kept this a secret for as I now know how long they've been working on this. How in the hell they kept this secret, I don't know, but it's pretty exciting. It's really cool. So there you go. Any other questions?
Yeah, who knows how long they've been working on it.
And I'll answer whatever I can because by the time you
Couple
see this,
of years,
Margot's
it
listening.
sounds like.
Hey, all right, bye guys.
Thank you, Preach. That was a good video. 10 out of 10. All these videos have been great. Let's move on to Soul's video. This man has wanted housing for so long. He was the one saying, yo, housing coming? Housing when? Housing coming. I'm here for housing. Housing's on the way. Please, housing. He was the one in the trenches asking for housing every day. If he loves this feature, we're in. I like his. I'm hearing some of these sections. I'm seeing some of these section names. They look good. Let's see, Soul. Tell me.
Hey, it's Soul, and the embargo is lifted. Today we're going to be talking about the new
Let's turn you
things
up.
we've learned about player
He did the
housing.
thing. He did the
Blizzard flew me out to
thing.
Boston to attend the World of Warcraft 30th anniversary.
Hope you had a good time at
celebration, and I
Boston.
got to meet viewers and devs and
You had a
fellow
good time.
creators, but you probably don't care about Preach giving me a hard time during Hot Pot or trying to scream camera setup tips in the middle of a concert. So this past Monday, Blizzard took a select few of us to
That's
their
good.
Boston office for a media summit. Making
Yeah, look at all them. One day.
some of us the first players outside of Blizzard to check
I'll go
out a demo
traveling,
of player
maybe.
housing, specifically on interior decorating, and I really suck at it. But I also have additional information after
Yo!
interviewing some
Preach didn't show his house. Taliesin showed his house. Dratnos showed his house. And he was saying, oh, I'm bad, I'm bad. Preach, I'm bad, I'm bad. But you know what? Mad respect for Dratnos coming up. Showing his house. Thank you, Dratnos. You did a good job. Taliesin hyped us up. Soul's over here saying he not good too. Come on. Every house, every creator, everything is going to be special. It's your house. It's great. I'll like it either way. Because if it makes you happy, Dratnos was saying his house was making him happy. That's what it's about.
Some of the leads for player housing.
That's what housing's
I
about.
can't air the actual interview because reasons, but I can share what I learned from it. So today I'm going to tell you what I've learned.
Who did you do the interview with, Soul? Who's got the interview?
Learned what was said and my impressions on the building side of housing, because again, that was
It says
the focus.
Patreon. That's what I'm
If you don't
blocking
mind,
over
like the
here.
video, subscribe for more WoW coverage.
Oh my god, it said and Bob. Yo, Soul. Yo, Soul. Real quick, man. Real quick.
My impressions
said-
on the building side of housing, because again, that was the focus.
I want to get
if
this
you don't
one. Soul and Bob. Yo, I'm Bob, bro. I know I'm not your Bob, but yeah, I'm here.
mind, like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me where I'm live. Between chatting and discussion, I say we had a good 3 or so hours of actual play time to figure out the controls
3 or
and
so hours.
play with what's what. Of course,
That's
I'm going to
good.
bloviate throughout this video because that's what I do, and I'm all sorts of excited to talk about this stuff.
I'm
So
excited
I'm
for
going to
him.
run through a whole bunch of bullet points of things that you probably want to know. I'll have a bunch of timestamps, even if it's just like a quick 10-second blurb. Anything that you don't hear about, it's because it wasn't part of the demo on Monday, or I just wasn't able to extract information from the
On
demo
Monday?
once
This
interview.
happened on
Who
Monday?
go by the
Oh
name of
my
Toby
god.
Bikini, who is a lead designer, and Jay
Toby.
Wong, who does principal art. I'm gonna let you down early.
Toby MVP.
Specifically, they didn't give us much of a peep about
You know what? They're all
outdoor
MVP.
decoration, although we
Good
do have
work.
an idea thanks to all this fabulous B-roll we now have going around. What you're gonna see gives some idea of their vision and the intent, which appears to be very, very lofty. We also got nothing new on neighborhoods, but I have a feeling in the near future we'll learn about their utility, as in things that we can access or build or unlock as a small 50 or so
That'll be
person
good.
community. It's likely going to
So
be the
Soul's saying neighborhood post next. We got the base neighborhood post. Maybe we're getting an exterior in a neighborhood post. Maybe this is the big thing this month. Maybe next month we'll get some neighborhood stuff. Man, I've been loving all the housing stuff so far. Alliance neighborhood looks great. I can't wait to see the Horde one. Man,
the
housing is
next
so good.
big housing
looking so
blog
good.
post, which might come out a month from now. It might be today. Who knows? I also asked about weapon and armor.
We usually get a housing post a month. I wonder if this stuff counts as it. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, we're due for one next week. It's either next week or next month. You know?
Racks, which were not available in the demo we were trying out. They were pretty cagey about it, but that may also be brought up very soon. We also didn't learn
Love to
anything
see.
new about professions or how to get new appearances, because obviously, while they're related, they're technically profession and reward kinds of questions. And
Maybe it's gonna be specific weapons and not full transmog.
that's handled by a different team. The focus
But that could be cool if you could just put specific weapons, all over the place instead of just on racks.
again was the hands-on experience of bringing our imaginations to life. The team has been very, very open to feedback. It's why they announced housing those many months ago. Lots of changes had already happened since November because folks like you and I had been speaking up. Right now is also
That's why I'm talking.
it's a very open window for feedback. Even if we might debate in the comments, or even if we might shut each other's ideas down, sometimes it's important to at least speak up. One example, one topic
Good.
include how to control people visiting neighborhoods or houses. Like someone asked, what if you have a big streamer hold a party somewhere and it brings the housing or the neighborhood realms to their knees? So can there be filters? Can the house owner have a cover charge to enter a home? That sort of thing.
A cover
They didn't
charge.
even have yes or no answers to these sorts of questions.
You want to get into the party house, you gotta pay me gold.
Because they haven't gotten to that stage yet, but they just kept leading us on with more questions, and they were jotting stuff down. One of the earlier blog posts mentioned how we can maybe place only one unique item in a house, like the Onyxia head. The vibe that I'm getting at the moment is this sounds like a negotiable thing. Like maybe they won't commit to single-use uniques, and if you feel the same way, comment about it below.
Yo,
Heck,
if I can keep killing her and getting her head, we're living in a magical world. And to be fair, other Broodmother dragons have shared Onyxia's design. To be fair, same thing with Nefarian. He's not the only one with that black dragon design. We've seen a few others. Blue dragon, hey. Would you want to invite the dragonflights over to your house full of dragon heads? No. But
comment on a whole bunch of things, like in a big wall of text in there. It's a good place to do it because they're likely to see them these days, and I might want to pair it off some of what you might be saying too.
I'm saying it right
as
to
customizable
here, so
as the
I'm
videos
telling
are
you
making
right
it out
here.
to be, and then some. The ability to warp and shape and position things the way you want to makes housing feel like a painter's canvas, and decor, the items, they're merely the tools that you use to create your own expression.
That's
like
good.
some of what you see here is deceptive. Like some objects have been sized up or down or maybe angled to achieve a different effect. Like for example, these wooden foundations here, they're made of multiple pillars actually.
Yeah,
They're
we've
just
already talked
angled
about
together
that.
to
That's
create
Dratnos.
this
That's
illusion
good.
of having larger looking supports. During the summit, the lead on decor, who was one of the developers I interviewed, he did a demo where he created a restaurant out of a single room. He used a staircase that climbed up to this upper loft. He set up a second floor with tables and a balcony. He set up more pillars and rails for
He's like, yo, I just made this in Undermine. Let me throw it together again.
And he did this very, very inventive thing where he took a steel-looking table and phased it into a larger box to create kind of a stove. And then he took some large barrels, shrunk them down, and phased them into that box.
Dude, everyone loved the barrel thing.
Table to create what looked like burners. And then he took some candles and shrunk those down too, and phased it in to simulate like a lit burner.
Wait!
Some people...
I thought it was making burgers. He turned them into burners with the flame? That's good. That's good.
Made these tight, cozy spaces during the demo. Others like me, we just kind of experimented. Like I did, like
Soul, thank you, Soul, thank you, Soul, for giving us another picture. Dratnos gave us 3, and told us that they could bring 3. Taliesin gave us 1. Preach, he's hiding his if he got him. Thank you, Soul. I don't know what I'm looking at here. I think he's about to tell me, but I'm glad we're getting something. So we got Christmas trees, we got flamingos. He's making like a framed little picture here. What are you doing?
With makeshift windows that simulated the outside. I threw up some flamingos trying to like walk
That's
through
cool.
water, and I slapped
He simulated outside
onto a slab that.
Wait, what if you could make like an interior garden?
And pointed it down to brighten things up. On the subject of
That's
lighting,
good,
there are
though.
various candles that you can click to light up and turn off. There are fixtures. And
Okay, so that's his second picture. Soul, thank you so much again. You may discredit yourself for your creative power, but this was great.
Very important, there are windows to achieve this brighter
All right,
room
maybe
effect.
he didn't say anything about that, but a lot of the other people are like, I'm not that creative.
A suggestion that I'd love to see put in, I want to control the ambient light in the house because it's all perfectly lit otherwise, even without any lighting. But I think it'd be very cool to be able to adjust the lighting here as well as the light sources that I decide to put up, whether they're...
Yes. I agree with him. I agree with Evital about the lighting
lamps
stuff.
or windows, to create more vibrant contrast or something kind of spooky. Changing the color of these light sources too, that would be very cool. Meanwhile, collision is fully implemented even when objects are suspended into the air and rotated all funny, meaning that we can stack tables and platforms and planks and more to create...
All right, so this was his third one. Him and Dratnos had fun making their little platform.
Early reactions from months ago are what prompted them to add these newer blocks and other shapes to create customized stairs. And with this in mind...
FYI, you get me into one of these, I got 3 pictures. The 3 pictures are going to be the most dense that you've ever seen.
We can make rooms with secret
is what I would do.
That you have to maybe be a smaller race.
I'd be like, I'm going to put every single item. You would just see me be like, I got 3 pictures in one room. Every item available. You just see me frantically like click, click.
To have to shrink down
All right.
to navigate through. There are a bunch of
I'm
different
good.
room shapes and sizes, from small closets to L or T-shaped rooms to rooms with pre-built staircases to very large and tall rooms, so you can build like crazy vertical towers or multi-wing homes with interior balconies and secret passageways.
Yeah, that one looks so
You can't
good.
exactly build a sub-level basement, but you can sort of go around that by simply creating walls and platforms to create this, I don't know, like a lower landing when you first enter the home, and then you climb up some stairs to this main floor. While now you have this.
No basement? Man, I feel like they should have a basement. When they're talking 3 floors, you should be able to do 1, 2. Or, yeah, so you have the base and 1, 2 up, or base, 1, and then 1 below. Kind of dealio.
I bet that once we see enough assets, we can simulate maybe an outdoor garden, like a Japanese style old house, and so much more. It was
Oh,
but you can make
dude, see, this is why I'm so glad Soul did that. Yeah, one of those houses where you have that like you come in, but it's more open. You know, he talked about Japanese, dude, some of the South American homes, style stuff I see have that
make 10
open
rooms in
interior
all
too,
in a single
down where I
house.
live.
Now I'm not sure if there's going to be
I'm
restrictions
in Florida
or costs
though,
for those,
so
but
that style, but you know what I'm talking about. If you
does
know what I'm
open
talking
up
about,
the
you know what I'm
potential
talking about.
for incredibly large homes or guild halls. The one thing missing, though, seemed to be individual dorm.
You know what? It may not even be
but
South American. It may like West Coast, Central American. Like the if you know what
at
I'm
least
talking about, you
according
know.
to the room
But
sizes
open
and everything,
interiors.
you'll be able to just carve them out yourselves by placing walls in. I think the large rooms were something around 600 to 800 square yards. It was kind of hard to measure, and unfortunately, I tried to reach out. They wouldn't tell me the exact size specifically. And from this older screenshot here, these dots on the side indicate where room connectors are, and we can then choose the room type as long as it fits. This includes rooms with stairs, which can also stack on top of each other. So that means the house itself, the rooms, the floors, and all,
Dude,
is a
that's
single
so big.
instance with no additional load time. But I should remind you folks that in this B-roll footage, you never see the actual borders of each room. Every instance is shaped with walls or obscured by decor. This shot here happens to be one of the rooms with pre-built stairs that run across the walls, but clearly this can get filled up. And by the way, this room is considered medium-sized in the tooltips. There was a lot of decor available.
Medium.
Off the top of my head, it covered the likes of
Dude,
humans, orcs.
They gotta have a pre-built church that priest players can do.
Zandalari trolls, Worgen, Draenei, Night Elves,
Worgen,
Blood Elves, Goblins,
Draenei,
and the rest I don't remember very well. There was still kind of a lot. When it comes to cadence, the devs' answers were kind of curt. They basically asked...
It was Dratnos that gave us Night Elf, Blood Elf, Human, Orc, and then there's one more.
Well, when does the WoW team add items?
Maybe a problem.
Pretty much every patch. And it can come from everywhere, including the trading post, which wasn't mentioned earlier, and legacy quests, and achievements, and of course, as new activities and content are unveiled. Considering what's coming out during Season 2 of The War Within, like think about this, think about the zone content and the seasonal activities.
Yo! That's what, I was distracted. This shirt, Stat Squish, Power Wanes, Housing lasts forever. Collection lasts forever.
Elves and Nightfall and Horrific Visions, and pretty soon we're going to be reintroduced into Battle for Azeroth Time Walking and more story quests. We can get decor from all of these things, and not to mention the occasional Twitch drop. And that also includes the...
Yo, imagine how many Time War badges to buy a certain chair if it was on a Time Walking vendor. Oh my god, no.
During the demo, we pointed out, strangely, there's a shop tab that was located as part of the housing chest. It just didn't work during testing. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that, mostly because...
Dude,
we already...
even Soul's like, whoa. That was a little nasty. I don't like that.
Where the shop is. It's all tucked away in that shop button in the corner,
Yeah,
or the menu.
Every WoW player knows where the shop is. We know.
And I really don't think we need additional reminders. Like, really, we don't need anything that feeds the narrative. Blizzard's putting a big focus on
Yes, we don't need
using
that.
player
Please.
housing as a revenue generator.
Please. I'm glad 2 people now brought that up. I'm sure Preach gave them something for that. A little like, why is this here?
I mean, they say they're not. I think they should show that they're not by not showing anything. Anyway, it still won't be surprising.
It's not that we don't want shops. It's not that we don't expect housing items to be on the shop. It's that we don't want the shop button, another shop button. You know, right? Like
decor attached to season achievements like rated PvP and raids, Mythic Plus, and delves. But my prediction, the difference of this, more prestigious appearance will be like Onyxia's head versus Onyxia's head with like glowy eyes. Nothing super distinct. Their intent is to limit FOMO to those typical moments of prestige. For now,
trophy style. A fancier trophy or a less fancy trophy.
In almost any respect, outside of maybe a Hearthstone or a mailbox. So from the sounds of it, no auction house, no bank, even the question of profession table.
Again, no auction house is funny. No profession tables are funny. If he's saying that, if I can mount, I can auction house. There's gonna be auction houses in everyone's neighborhood. You just gotta know the guy, right? Or the people that have the auction house.
Bulls was answered with, "Oh, it's still in discussion." So they were a bit coy talking about if neighborhoods would have this kind of city-like feel or utilities like profession tables, but it almost looks like neighborhoods are going to function like not
profession tables, work orders in the neighborhood square, I think, are good. Bank and auction house? No. Like, we know auction houses are going to be there. It shouldn't be there. Auction house, bank, I feel city base. But profession and work orders,
not the city, but more
I think
like
it would be in the good in the neighborhood.
A local area for, I don't know, but they want to draw a line somewhere.
Exactly. A local area for professions, a shop or something.
Don't want
like maybe the shop is the decoration shop.
Housing to feel required, like the garrison, like players must go there to get something done, or it's going to be a path to obtain better gear. That's a very clear line that they don't want to cross. No one should have to do housing.
Yeah, we don't want mission tables in the house. We want mission tables in the order halls.
Housing, but they intend to continuously develop housing to keep the excitement up for those.
You hear that, Blizzard?
So we're interested, like, hey, I got this new thing that I might want to put up, or now this inspired something new that I want to do a full teardown and try something new. It's kind of like how we get new armor or transmog at the end of a thing, and we decide whether we want to participate in changing our gear. They want housing to be accessible very early, but they're not firm on exactly when. For veterans like us, we should be able to jump in straight away with fast access to the core from like older quest rewards and achievements.
Okay. Mounts at level 10. Right? Faster mounts at 20 now? Flying at 30? Dragon flying mounts at 10. Right? I think the only limitation should be level 10. Level 10 feels like the limit. I guess we do dungeons at 15. Maybe it's the new 20 feature. Maybe it is the new 20 feature.
Meanwhile, newer players, they should
level
still
10 seems right.
Housing at an early stage, but once they get an idea of how the game works and have the momentum to start.
Okay, for new players, maybe level 20. For completely new players, maybe level 20.
Collections. When it comes to obtaining the core that was earned from a quest, there's going to be a way for players to simply buy more of that decor via NPC and account-wide unlock, as opposed.
Actually, no. Maybe level 10 right after the opening, right out there. You give them the quest.
To redo that quest on multiple alts. At the moment, there's no PvP inside the home or in neighborhoods. They describe housing as being a sanctuary zone.
There shouldn't be PvP in any of those places. Duels, maybe.
But I want to throw this thought out.
Duels in a fight club in the basement.
There.
Fine.
I think there should be like maybe special rooms we can place down in the house where the sanctuary thing is disabled to allow for duels or even free-for-all PvP. Basically player-made arenas. Now that was their words, not even mine. So they must be talking about it at to some degree. There's obviously going to be a lot of catch up developing.
You know what? That already proves it. I think we got the answer. You can die in the home from falling, and if they're gonna have fight clubs, they got to give us basements.
20 years of past WoW and the current game all at once. But despite the jokes, no raid tiers are going to be lost. The art team they're kind of improving their pipeline, and they're dedicated towards setting up new assets as well as porting the old ones. Like, it's not going to be a simple copy paste, because some older arts, they don't have proper like bottoms to them, and now they need them in case we want to have a room where like everything's like floating and oriented in all sorts of different directions. The dice
We've heard this 4
housing,
times.
It's new tech. It's no joke.
But that's fine.
They're mostly only going to apply to new art, and there's a lot of that, trust me. But there's a but to it. Dice are a finite resource, and we'll have to rely on a source to get more of them. So they might be crafted, they might be sold from a vendor. Who knows? So I suspect.
Wait, they're a finite resource. Okay, that's why he was talking about it like that. Taliesin was.
Scribes and herbalists are going to have a field day with this one. So here's kind of how it was explained to me. Let's say you have a bunch of chairs and you want to paint one of them with a little bit of blue. So when you do that, the chair now has a distinct identity as a chair with some of that blue on it. And now you can put it back into your house chest, and it'll show you have this one chair that has blue on it. It'll remember. If you later take that same chair and replace that blue color with, like, let's say red, because you should, that chair now has red, and the blue that you had used, you're not going to get it back. It's considered.
Listen, Blizzard, if you're listening. If you want dice to work like that, make us unlock the colors. Don't make us have to this buying materials to re-dye sounds awful to me. Let me unlock the colors then. If you want me to pay for the dye in some way, make me unlock the colors. Please, Jesus.
So what you can do
I don't need this. This is too much.
And dye that red or blue or whatever.
You gotta be like, okay, how many chairs I got red? How many chairs I got blue? How many chairs I got pink? How many chairs I got... Stop! Dye unlock system. Don't have to deal with that BS. Maybe make it per item. I think per item would suck, but maybe make it per item. But a
unique item. So the game is going to inventory every permutation or variant of the core you happen to dye. Meaning, in the case of basic furniture like chairs, you're encouraged to get more chairs. I joked that, hey, this might lead to like armor stuff and weapon dyes and stuff, and they were just like, I was told that means nothing, but As for having pets or members of our warband in our warband house, the devs didn't shut down this take either, but they did point.
Now I'm concerned about the dye system. What they're bringing into armor dyes. How much are these dyes going to cost? Am I going to be making them? We already have blue dye. There's literally dyes on those vendors. Are we just going to be buying that? So then I got to go out, buy the blue dye, come back, dye that chair. How many chairs? So then I'm going to want to have 25 blue chairs, 25 red chairs, 25 yellow chair, whatever, like...
Point out that historically, one of the persistent challenges in World of Warcraft is in...
But see, and the most annoying part would be like, say you do a design house, you're like, oh, I want to put this table here. Oh, shoot, I need this dye. Gotta run out to the neighborhood, run out to the thing, be like, grab this dye, gotta run back, gotta do that. Silly.
In this case, how NPCs walk around. There's the question of how do you design, script, or train a system of pathing when players have complete control over the environment and can change at any time. And that was all I got. Now let's talk impressions. How was the demo like, and is it a relatable experience compared to how it might be live? The short answer is that this is very, very early. I want to be clear, this was like pre-alpha levels, kinds of early.
I'm glad this is early so they can work on that die system.
Everything's up for change, and our feedback, it's based
so far, the die system has now been the biggest thing where I'm like, whoa, what?
On, again, these very early impressions.
And you know what? It's wrapped up in the collection. It's wrapped up in the collection aspect.
I can't understate the potential of housing to have really limitless possibilities from a decor standpoint. Even without using the advanced mode with like the clipping and rotating and the other brouhaha, it's not difficult to create for yourself like a very, very cool space, or just a way of expressing yourself as a player. The nature of the demo was
That's gonna be
very,
the best
very
part.
overwhelming. Like we had access to all the room sizes and all the decor
Player expression.
available at the time. So it's kind of like, it kind of felt like you're boosting a new class you never played before and then jumping into content in a video game that you've never even played before either. So, you skip the growing pains of starting with nothing and building things up. So like, while you see screenshots of maybe having 50 of everything in these house chests, the reality is we're going to start
with nothing.
Housing with like this bare minimum of options.
Yeah.
We'll start growing our collection slowly.
See, I'm glad he's talking about that stuff, because that's what I'm worried about. Like, we are going to be starting with not much. How are we going to get all these chairs? How are we going to get all these books? How are we going to get all this stuff? I'm worried about that at the moment.
Buying things and having it
and now dying,
discovering that decor we really want to have, and we start going off and chasing for it or crafting it or whatever. This demo, it skipped all the time and gold spent, so it's not going to surprise me if early on we quickly run out of stuff to place. Like at the moment, you and I, we're just theory crafting our own behavior. Like, okay, how urgently do I need to have this Onyxia head? Is 4 chairs going to be enough for me right now when I might only have access to like one small room? How much dye am I going to need to farm up to make everything look orange? Like, we can't sim a house and know exactly what we want.
I gotta sim my house
some months ahead of time. Even
yo, WoW players are gonna do that though, bro. I simmed your house. That's a great parsing house. You need to bring that up.
That's not going to be enough. It's going to be once we get our hands on this thing for real, when we see what our WoW careers have given us access to, and we see what's ahead in our...
I think Alpha and Beta are going to give us a lot, to be fair, but it is going to be... There's going to be some wheels need to hit the road to see some features. Like the overall, like, to know that this isn't going to be a Garrisons, I don't think this is going to be a Garrisons, but to know how people flock and go into neighborhoods, do housing, that's going to be wheels hit the road kind of tests. But when we get these PTR tests in, we're going to need to get feedback about collection. How do we get these furniture? How do we get these dyes? How do we do this? That's going to matter a lot.
We really understand the depth and the capability of housing. None of that made sense, I don't think. I think I'm just trying to say our impressions from this demo are purely from a mechanical standpoint, and we couldn't test out the day-to-day acquisition, the chase, the high of getting things. Like that would have been better to say, but I'm not going to cut that out because it sounded kind of good.
I got what you're saying, Soul.
The tools are still in the early stages, the buttons and everything. Placing objects, it's pretty easy in the basic mode though. Stuff slides along the grid nice and easy. We just roll the mouse wheel to rotate objects and walls. It's like doing Lego stuff. Like when something clips very badly, the highlights will change to say, hey, you can't do that. You get an error message and everything, but there's also a toggle to override that error and let you place things anyway.
Good.
Pretty much all the time. And it works really well when you want to place objects on shelves. Like what you see in the B-roll are originally empty shelves with additional items added to them,
books.
Like racks of books.
I can see the racks.
Or even larger items that are eventually shrunk down. Filling these shelves, again, it's just like Lego. They snap into place when you have the snapping on, and it feels really satisfying.
That's good.
Advanced mode lets you break all the rules and alter the meaning of objects. Like if you want some
to
sit on a box, okay, cool. You can take this really tall candle stand, then shrink it down and clip it through that box until you achieve this desired effect of having a small candle sitting on this box.
I'm liking the pictures they give us. I'm glad they're giving us a good repertoire of pictures. You look at these chairs, we're getting so much good stuff.
The demo showed off a fireplace whose top happened to clip through a floor, the dev setup. They ended up throwing a small pillow on top of the opening, and ta-da! Now it can be seen like a kind of a pet bed. But if they wanted to, they could have instead added another piece of furniture to fully obscure.
Like, that's going to be the thing, right? Looking through furniture, how you can spin it to make you get different objects, new designs.
or they could have just shrunk the whole fireplace a bit, or maybe even raised the floor. So I tried out a common tactic. I think I mentioned this earlier. I tried something out where I wanted to make like a fake window with, you know, some animals just outside and the sun shining down on them. Again, it's all fake. I just use windows to simulate the light, which is why I think it'd be really cool to be able to adjust the intensity of the lighting from the room to individual light producing objects.
Yes.
Like how
The
cool would it
lighting
be
is going to be
have
big.
this really scary dressed vibe complete with the violet candlelight, or having a house that's like almost fully blacked out. Between the basic tools and available decor, housing already feels like pretty much infinite content, where the collection of things is only the
Dude,
first
people
step.
trying to
Advanced mode
recreate
is,
Wakecrest or something.
in so few words, a way to turn these objects into art pieces or segments of art pieces, and the possibilities of what players can do have no limit beyond the actual like placement limits of like 10,000 or so things.
Yeah,
But a lot of
10,000.
hilarious and tragic possibilities cross my mind. Like,
Tragic.
we're going to see dicks. Sorry, guys. Like, I sat down with devs over lunch and I half joked that, yeah, y'all better have like a really good report button for these houses. Like I described, you guys might have seen this.
They may limit external. They may limit external, and then in the house, Blizzard says straight up, yo, in the house, if you walk into someone's home and you see something wrong, you know, say it, but then leave the house. Like, that's their house.
Or you know, out at actual.
Who knows what people are going to be up to in the houses?
You see those art pieces.
It'll be wild.
There's like a bunch of objects that are seemingly unrelated.
I'm going to be making...
kind of arranged.
My houses are going to be peak, min-max, beautiful artistic expressions, maybe with the dungeon, you know. I'm only going to have two. I'm going to have the Horde one and the Alliance one. They're going to have different vibes. You know, Alliance has a certain vibe. You know, Horde going to have a greater vibe.
An array. But when you look at it from like just the right angle, then it becomes like this cohesive piece. So I'm like, dude, we're definitely going to see someone do that. And then when we look at it from that correct angle, it's like, oh my God, something like super, super offensive. It'll be
a big
hilarious
giant wiener
and awful at the same time. But anyway, back to the building of stuff.
I'm just glad. I am glad they were like instantly like, we're going to be watching words, no free wording, because we know what people are going to say.
A lot of work to be done to make the building experience more
Good.
intuitive.
Good. They need to start with that.
You know, even the basic mode. Like over time, the team needs to work out how to help players quickly switch between basic and advanced mode to resizing or turning the clip.
If the snapping is only on simple mode, then yeah, I do want a button to be like, I'm in advanced mode, I'm in simple mode.
You know, have it all arranged in such a way that players will have a natural flow. You know, it's just like how artists hotkey and switch tools on the fly. It's like WoW combat. There are dedicated hotkeys though that can be customized, and I just hope that gets fleshed out more. One thing I want to point out is that while we're in the build mode, which we can just toggle any time while we're at the house, we're still tethered to our characters. It's not a bad idea to do it that way. It kind of gives us, like, it lets us maintain a sense of perspective, but I also would want to have like a no clip option that lets me hover and just move through objects and walls or whatnot. So in the case of me trying to make
God
some
mode
crazy stupid jumping puzzle, I won't have to worry about falling to like the bottom and then having to climb all the way back up.
Yeah,
I at least want to be able to tolerate.
Yo, he was doing the jumping puzzle like that. Yo, credit to Dratnos, dude. I didn't know you had to actually run your character all around. Dude, you should be able to God view and just plug in your jumping puzzle.
The clipping back on so I can test it out for potential visitors. At the moment, as a housing fan and also a total noob at how to...
Yo, the first room in my house is a jumping puzzle. If you want to get into my house proper, you have to go through the jumping puzzle with lava.
At the same time.
Yo, Blizzard, can we get lava for our interior? Can we use lava and water? Blizzard, listen to me right now. Can we use lava and water in our house? So, say we have a trap door that sends someone into water and we drown them. You know, say it sends them into lava. That's our torture chamber. You know?
I am pretty intimidated over the idea of starting a brand new house from scratch. From what I've heard, Blizzard kind of wants to give folks a starter house with very basic decor that's already set up to help us out, maybe. So here's a suggestion. Like, how about, what if they offered like presets on a room-to-room basis. So, like,
Okay,
have some
so
sort of
I thought they already had presets. Now he's going to talk about what I've been talking about, presets.
cost to them. I don't know what it'd be, but maybe we can buy a room that's pre-decorated. So, like, for
No,
example, like,
Soul, you don't buy the room. It shouldn't be linked to the room. It should be like how this is how I see it. Soul, if you ever see this is how I see it. Look. So, I load up the menu. I got the menu here. I'm like, I want this pre-built library, right? I'm gonna click on it, and it says you need blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, right click shopping list, basically, and then I go buy all those things, all the furniture.
we're given, or we buy a Zandalari trophy. You know, we buy the whole thing, and then we choose this trophy room template from the housing chest. You know, we drop it down, and then boom, it just places the decor and everything that's meant for it. And from there, we can like edit what we want, change the drapes, or change the dyes, tear the whole thing down for just parts, you know, whatever. There are a ton of questions and concerns about that, but I'm just speaking on a high level. You know, what if we had templates for housing noobs?
Yeah, I
that
think
just
we
want to
should.
have cool stuff quickly. Like, I think
One
that would be cool. Of course,
billion% agree.
Share room templates with others online too, so get the community into this instead.
That's what Priest talked
In the
about
long term,
too.
though, they want housing to feel as part of WoW as like, you know, okay, hey, we're done with dungeons or raids or delves or whatever. Let's take a moment to maybe redo our transmog because we found something really cool, or something like a new item that we want.
Barbershop and transmog in your own house could maybe fly. Barbershop's a reach, but you can change your hair in your house. You can change your outfit in your house.
It's going to be like, okay, I'm done with my stuff for the day, and now I have this very cool trophy thing I want to hang up into the room, and you know,
I took 2 things.
Yo, free transmog costs in your home. Just thought of it.
Maybe I want to hang Eridicron's head, but then now it's like, oh, now I'm running out of space in this trophy room. Now maybe I want to expand on it or build another room or add a floor or something like that. Adding a whole ass new activity, especially something that feels so different from typical World of Warcraft, like that's scary because chances are good that not everyone's going to want to pick it up, but some people will. And that part is very cool because that
but there's so many parts of the game that it's not for everyone, and I think this is great.
The perception we have of this game, even for people that won't want to participate in it at all. I said it earlier. I bet some people are going to have plenty of fun just watching others build houses on a stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think the template, the pre-built, the preset, that's great because the people who don't like to build houses want to live in a house, want their character to live in a house. Oh, I did the thing again.
Some people are going to have plenty of fun just watching others build houses on a stream or a video, even if they might be too intimidated to do it themselves. We're going to have a new generation of creators coming out from this, from the actual building of stuff to like some sort of crib style tour of the coolest things that come our way.
I'm going to be doing the crib style. Look at my house.
Templates or selling them, or I don't know. It's going to be like how Mythic
House
Dungeons added this entire new industry to the WoW place. Housing is positioning itself to kind of do the same, just at a different level of competition, I guess. I'm massively excited for the coming months as we learn more, and hopefully we get
House Hunting Showcase
access to like a PTR of this, like way sooner than normal, because it's going to need a lot of feedback from people of different skill and accessibility backgrounds, and I can't begin to imagine how to test this thing for bugs. Like one wrong placement might crash the client, and how's the server going to know how to roll you back if that happens? Because in theory, I'm going to be able to place like 1,000 objects pretty much in the same space.
And how to save it?
So it's going to be a wild ride for the rest of 2025, and I hope that you will join me as we learn more and give feedback and talk smack and so much more. And I've talked a lot. That's
Thank you, Soul. Thank you for telling me everything.
Give me a comment or leave a comment, whatever, and I'll see you guys for the next thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
Dude, great video. 10 out of 10. There's your like. I mean, you're getting all my comments here. But great. So there may have been more. There may have been more housing videos, but these were the big 4, right? Taliesin, Dratnos, Preach, and Soul. those are what I'm covering. I covered here today, 2.5 hours. I'm going to link all 4 of these videos. Overall, I think WoW housing is, as they all said, set up to be the new big feature. And from what they all said, it looks like it's exceeding expectations. So I can't wait for me to test it. And thank y'all for watching me. Check all them out. Links in the description. And if any of them come to see this, thank you for making those videos. And hopefully, thank you for letting me react to them. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.